Okay, all 7 board members are present, and our student reps tonight from McNair is Trinity S. Capiso and Dylan Rogers. Dylan, I can say pretty easily. I'm telling you, for all the years I was in the classroom with the name like Knackstead, I always felt like I had the right to mispronounce names. Anyway, okay, Trinity, why don't you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In closed session, there was no action taken. Before we really get into the meeting, I'd like to introduce Mr. Brad Friesen to come on up, and I asked Brad if he would say a few words about Dave Nutting, teacher at Lodi High School. In fact, he was the first varsity coach that I hired in my first year as athletic director. Brad?
Hello. My name is Brad Friesen, and first I'd like to thank President Knackstead, Dr. Washer, and members of the school board for this opportunity to honor my good friend and colleague Dave Nutting as a teacher, coach, and friend. In preparation for this, I decided to ask people that were close with Dave to describe him using one single word, and that's very difficult for a man of Dave Nutting, who's just a really neat and outgoing guy. So we came up with 3 words: outgoing, passionate, and caring. Dave was a very outgoing person. He definitely was not shy. Dave was the type of guy to strike up conversations with cashiers, waitresses, nurses, random people on the street. Several times in restaurants, Dave would literally get in basketball defensive stance as he was frustrated with his basketball team, and he would demonstrate this. And one time, he was frustrated with his team not boxing out properly, and he accidentally boxed out the waitress.
Nice going, Dave.
And so the reason why Dave was so outgoing and enjoyed the spotlight was because at age 18, his father would take the whole family to 5-star restaurants in San Francisco, and he would stand up and he would tap the glass several times. He'd look across the restaurant, and he would get the attention of the whole restaurant. And he said, once the restaurant would be quiet, he would say, "My son David is now going to sing you a song." And on the spot, he would stand up and belt out a song, most likely Frank Sinatra. Dave had the zest for life because he felt life was too short, and that it could be taken from you in an instant. So he felt that everybody needs to loosen up. You need to smile, have some fun, and laugh. And however, when things would get wrong at school, sometimes we had some difficult times, he would say, "If that is the worst thing that is going to happen today, then it's going to be a good day." Dave was passionate about teaching and coaching. He was an amazing teacher. Whether it be math or PE, he had a gift for education. Dave taught his classes as if his own children were in the room. In my opinion, the district should have hired him to teach classroom management strategies to all teachers in the district. By far, hands down, the best. Dave was firm. He held kids accountable for their actions, and the kids still had a great deal of respect for fondness of Dave. Dave's rule for dealing with kids was never let a kid leave the room angry. He also said, "If I had more time, I could teach every kid to do right." Dave's mind was constantly trying to make things better. His philosophy about education was, if it ain't broken, break it. He believed that you always could improve. He was always thinking of a better way of doing things, whether it be working at home, supervising a locker room, or coming up with new drills to get his basketball team to do to the next level. For instance, a solution to locker room management was music. Dave literally had 200 boys singing Sweet Caroline in the locker room on a Friday to prevent them from misbehaving or do whatever else they do in the locker room. As a coach, Dave believed in tough love. He believed in hard work, hustle, defense, and the most important, FOE, which was printed on all of his basketball t-shirts. FOE means family over everything. The reason his teams were successful is he wanted them to be a family, that the team would work hard for each other, and that the team is so much more than the individual. He put in spring, summer, and fall practices. He ran basketball camps for 14 years for the community. If you calculated all his time that he put into the team, you probably still owe him some money. While at Lodi, he decorated the championship banner with 6 league titles and a second place in the section of the berth to the NorCal playoffs. Dave was one of the most successful basketball programs at Lodi High. Dave was the first basketball coach to use the Inferno. His impact was spread out like ripples in a pond over generations, because it wasn't just basketball in the gym. He had a significant impact on the lives of the students through physical education, weight training, and in the math department. At this time, I'd like to introduce Owen Stewart, who has collected over 5,000 signatures to name the basketball court, not the gym, the court, in Dave's honor. And here they are. Thank you all. The last word that describes Dave was caring. Dave had a huge heart for his students, players, friends, and of course his family. If you needed something, he would give you the shirt off his back. Dave and Darlene welcomed many foreign exchange students into their home. If you needed a place to stay or a meal, their door was always open. Dave cared for others even during the fight for his life. After finding out he had stage 4 cancer, I called him and I was not very happy. Dave's reply was, "Dude, my wife and children are healthy and I would rather be the one getting sick than my family." Come on, Brad. You do the same. Dave took his outgoing, spontaneous, and caring personality and sang Frank Sinatra songs to the nurses and patients while receiving chemo. Dave was thinking of others, even during the darkest of times. Why? Because his faith in Jesus Christ gave him peace through this incredibly difficult time. Dave was spontaneous, outgoing, passionate, and caring. He was dedicated to the profession of teaching and coaching. And this Bible verse sums him up. Mark 12, verses 30-31. "And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength." The second is, love your neighbor as yourself. I was lucky to be able to work with Dave Huddy for 9 years. And Lord, I will miss him. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Very nice. Thank you. I understand. Yeah, you mentioned that there was a petition that would like to give the Lodi High School basketball court, center court.
Yeah, I mean, it's the court. Owen, call on up.
And did you bring that petition with you? You said
it's right here. And
did you give that to Dr. Washer?
Obviously, we understand that there's a process to that. We don't know what the
We're going to find out right now. Is there a process to do
Yeah,
this?
policy will.
Okay, then at this point, as
No.
I'm still the board president right now, we'll accept your petition and send it through the process. Okay? Sounds like a good idea.
Liking all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
A wonderful eulogy.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Oh, this is me. Okay, well, my time is about up. And I'm talking about as being board president, not.
It's board president. over here, Jerry.
All right.
I have a problem pronouncing his last name, Konechak?
Next is.
How about that? My God. I want to just stress that Gary is a former coach, coached 32 years of track at Lodi High, and was 5 years an athletic director there at Lodi. Like he said, he hired one of the greatest guys that worked there. I didn't know him personally, but I talked to him on the phone, and very nice. Thank you. And I wanted to thank Gary for his quiet leadership. A lot of it is calm down, you know, because I sit right next to him and calm down, you know, it's okay. But he has taught at Lodi High School also in computers and accounting. Actually, he dropped his class on accounting, but he has had some business classes there and did an excellent job. A total of 37 years in our district, which is, that's great. And we have, of course, something in common because he was a former AD and I was a former AD also in another school district, and we had a lot of dealings with him. On behalf of the board, Gary, I want to thank you very much for handling the leadership that you had for us, and we wish you a very, very good Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and all that. And I know from now on you're going to be relaxed. You're not uptight anymore. You come in there, you're uptight, and go, oh, this and that. Now he's going to be relaxed and carry on. And great leadership from this gentleman. I thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Oh.
That means you can do it at home.
Yeah.
Do it at home, see what.
I do have 10 grandchildren, so this will probably come in fairly handy. Thanks, Joe and board. I want to thank Dr. Washer and her staff for the support that and help that she gave to a rookie board member. I got a chance to know her and her staff a little bit better than I had in the past, and got to find out just how much she does and how valuable she is. So I want to thank her and her staff and Mr. Freitas and Mr. Nava for giving me the elbow when they said, you know, hey, you're talking too much, you know, get going. So I appreciate it, guys, and hopefully I didn't let you down. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
while you're on your way back, getting seated, I just wanted to thank you for the job that you did this year. It's fantastic. And it's true that when you're president, you'll learn a lot.
Yes.
You get to spend a lot of time with staff and everybody, and it's a real education process. I'll tell you what, you did a fantastic job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and speaking of officers, it is now time to look at some new ones. At this point, since I have the microphone, I would like to nominate Mr. Joe Nava for board president next year. He's a veteran teacher, a veteran coach, a veteran administrator, and even more important, a veteran board member. And I think he would fill in nicely at this position. So I'm nominating Joe Nava for president.
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, we have a first and second. Are these voice votes?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go down the line, Mr. Neely.
Aye.
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 All right. That pass. Joe, you're going to be sitting over here in a few minutes. That passes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Ron Freitas as the VP.
Okay. We have a first. We have a second for Mr. Freitas.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. All right. Voice vote then.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Mr.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to nominate Susan McFarland for clerk of the board.
Second?
Can we have first, second, voice vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Oh, aye.
did you? Okay, well, it turned out it's 7-0 again, so congratulations to our new board officers. At this time, I'm going to take a quick recess to shuffle people around. So I guess you need to log out of your machines, folks, and yeah, we gotta move. Gotta move. Gotta log out. I do. I'll let you know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Right here, we finish this and then right before that. That's, which one's the?
It's actually good. Yeah, my other
This one here? This one. I thought Gary was his
and they just
Meeting will come to order. Thank you, folks. Thank the board for taking the confidence and having the confidence in me to lead this session for 1 year. I want to thank all you folks for attending the meeting, and hopefully that we can get all these reports that we have here on the green cards expedite and get what you want me said. Okay, I want to start out with the calendar, a 2020 calendar meeting that we can discuss, and it's an action item. We'll open up the calendar.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Meeting.
on the board calendar, a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to see a study session added in January to discuss student achievement, specifically the dashboard and the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, and not just look at the studies themselves, but what are we going to do? How is that going to guide us in our future decisions? So I'd like to see that happen either January 21st or 29th, I don't care. I think it needs to be a study session all by itself so we can actually work on student achievement. That's one of the things I'd like to see happen.
Mr. Neely, I would like I second that, and it's not a motion, but I'd like to have that date, the 28th of January, which is a Tuesday, I think, the 28th.
Is it 28th this?
Yes, of
It is.
January.
You're right, I
Yes.
had a typo on
And
that. Yeah, 28th.
I know that last year we did have a study session, and that would be a good one, a good date to have that.
I concur.
Any other
Yes.
changes? Yes.
I'd like to see all board meetings move from Tuesday to Thursday, since we have enough time to discuss hot topics. They come out on Friday, unless we could have hot topics move to Wednesday and we keep the board meetings on Tuesday. We discuss this as a board, and I now want to bring it out in open discussion. Either we move all board meetings to Thursday, and the hot topics come out on Friday, which gives us enough time to dissect the information and be informed at our meetings, or we move back to keep things at Tuesday, and the hot topics have to come out on Wednesday.
Mr. Porter, you mean more than just the hot topics, right? You mean the agenda?
The agenda.
Right, okay. I support that. I think the agenda should come
Say
out.
that again.
The agenda comes out on Wednesday rather than Friday.
If we keep things on
Agenda
Tuesday.
comes out on.
If we keep things on Tuesday.
I see what you're saying.
So if you go to Thursday, you can still bring the agenda out on Friday. If you go to Thursday for board meeting,
The agenda's posted 72 hours before.
we can still turn it in, have it presented on Friday. If not, I would like the agenda then posted on Wednesday before the Tuesday meeting.
I'll support it.
I'll support that.
I'll support that also.
So, okay, so you're asking for a longer window than 72 hours.
Correct.
Yes. In other words, the meetings will be on
Sorry, I included
Tuesday.
hot topics in that.
So
That's
the-
erroneous on my part.
Okay, the agenda will be published on Wednesday before the next Tuesday meeting,
Correct.
okay?
we leave it to Tuesday.
If we leave it on Tuesday, and the wishes of some of the gentlemen
Yeah, I
said that
leave it on
they would
Tuesday.
like to keep it on
Mr. Porter, though, we
Tuesday,
need the extra
and
time.
then have the agenda printed on Wednesday following the Tuesday meeting.
Is that going to be possible for you guys to do?
Yes.
In most cases, yes. The one that may be tricky would be the student matters. They may not always be done that early ahead of time. They would maybe need to be then pushed off to the next meeting. That would
That's.
just be something we have to do. So that would be the only one I think that might be troublesome.
The student matters, you said?
Mhm.
What are we talking about?
Expulsion.
Oh. Well,
Mr. President,
So we
Yes,
will make whatever you want work. We'll make it work.
Mr. Freitas?
one of the things that should never happen is, we all went to a conference on school boarding, and we learned that a lot of schools, in fact, do provide their agendas a week beforehand. And being a board member now, it is very difficult for us to get a board agenda on Friday afternoons and then be prepared to go on Tuesday. It takes up our weekends. It's hard for us to speak with our constituents, talk with our schools. So Mr. Porter found out that a lot of places had it on their meetings on Thursday, so that Friday posting would allow more time to do this. This allows us to keep our traditional Lodi Unified Tuesday meeting, and but have more time for us to reach out to more of you and be better prepared for our meetings and have better meetings also. So
So I guess the first question is, do you want to move meetings to Thursdays or not?
No.
Okay. So then the second part is, you want
Well,
agenda sooner. So that's not part of this, what you're
Sure.
approving.
Let's get a
Agenda.
consensus. I know that consensus is to have the meetings on, regular meetings on Tuesday, print the agenda on Wednesday for the following Tuesday, that's one, or have the meetings on Thursday and print the agenda on Friday for the following meeting.
And Mr. President, I move that we use the calendar that's been presented by staff with the addition of the January 28th study session.
I'm not done yet. I had two things, and you stopped me at the first one.
Okay?
Okay, so we can work with the agenda piece. That doesn't have to be part of this because that's not a calendar approving issue.
That was a consensus.
Okay.
Now, let me move on, second thing I had.
Yes, Mr. Neely?
All right, thank you. I want to remove board sessions on March 17th and October 6th. These meetings occur during school break times. If we feel it necessary to have an additional meeting in March, there are 2 more Tuesdays available outside of that break time. And likewise in March, we have 1 more Tuesday available if we want to do it. kind of unlikely in October, though. Those meetings at that time period of the year are usually pretty short anyway. So I don't even think there's a need for that October, but if we want to. There's no need to ask our staff to be here during the break time unless it's absolutely needed. Also, if we do not need a meeting anytime, if we need a meeting at any time, we can call a special meeting. So we don't have to schedule a meeting during the break times and ask people to be here for that. So I would recommend that we do away with March 17th and October 6th.
I would also like to see us have another meeting in July. I think it's interesting that we only want to have one, but yet we're going to start school within 2 weeks, and that's usually where there's hiring and decisions that need to be made instead of rushing either in June or piling in August and having to have special meetings in July. I think we should just put a regular meeting on the board.
I agree with the July because if we push it back to the August 4th, we've already got people hired and in place before we've approved them. Or they have to wait till approval and they can't start school. If we do the 2 in July, can we take one off of June then?
I have no problem.
No problem.
Well, we have the one extra in June because that's when both the LCAP is due and the budget. So
In case there's a
there's been
problem.
times we've actually needed an extra one in June. So,
If we take out the middle one though, June 16th,
well, I'll go along with that because like I said, if we ever need a special,
We could do it.
we can call a special. Same thing for July though, too. If we ever need a special there.
well, we can add it on July, have it on the schedule. I think we should have 2 in July, my opinion.
Mr. President, members of the board,
Yes.
we're getting a little nervous about not having 3 scheduled in June.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
Budget and LCAP.
okay.
okay.
Superintendent's evaluation.
Yes. Okay, now, just to get, I'd like to get consensus instead of voting on a motion on this. And I know March 17th, October 6th, and add a meeting in July. Those are the things that we're talking right now. There are other ones we can always adjust.
Mr. President, may I just make a comment?
Yes.
Based on past observation of staff patterns,
Yes,
July seems to be a window of time where folks are away. It's there's less going on in the break during July than in the October and March. So I think I could speak on behalf of staff that we would be more comfortable with 2 meetings in either October or March rather than 2 in July. Of course, we will do what the board wishes, but that seems to be the pattern of staff. And we did do 1 meeting in October this year and 1 in March, and we did get a little backed up with
We
things.
did.
yes.
My concern on the July is that we usually have a rush to fill positions. We're never fully staffed going into the school year.
Mr. Porter's correct. The board has been very good about coming together if we need that. And typically, we have only had to do that for administrative appointments. The others, we do on a routine basis, and it gets approved formally when you come back anyway. So
Well, as Mr. Neely said, we could always have one if we need one.
Absolutely, it's flexible. This agenda is flexible.
Before I can approve, or vote yes, excuse me, I need to have assurances that staff will have the agendas out by Wednesday.
the board wants the agendas out by Wednesday. The agendas will be out by Wednesday.
The consensus is to have the meetings on Tuesday, agendas out on Wednesday before the next Tuesday meeting. That's what we
Could
want.
we ask staff to comment if that's okay? Mr. Pond has a comment.
I have a comment about the March meeting, just a reminder that our second interim must be approved right around March 15th, March 16th.
Yeah. Okay,
Would you be comfortable with 1 in October and 2 in March?
Yes.
Yes. Should I just take that March 17th one, you can move it to a later date. There's 2 more Tuesdays after that in March.
so we'll have 2 in March.
Right.
Yes.
So you want
You're
the
saying March
24th?
the 24th?
March the 24th.
Would that work? better,
Mr. Khan, that's
Khan?
past the time though, right?
Mid-March is when we have to have the second.
So you have that approved on your March third
This
meeting,
is the one scheduled right now.
correct?
So which ones would you like to eliminate? March 17
March
and
17th,
October 6?
October 6th.
And add one in July? You have
They
Dave?
kind of decided to,
We're just flexible on that one if we need it.
We'll leave July the way it is. If needed, we'll add.
Okay. So we want one meeting in March, and that would be the 24th. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Gordon?
do away with the 17th.
Do away with the 17th, have it on March the 24th, because Mr. Khan needs to have,
March, we just have to have it approved by about the middle of the month. So the March 3rd date will work fine.
okay.
Oh, we'll work on it.
So do you want to add another one in March or no?
No, it's my understanding, and we'll have the third meeting on March, on the 3rd of March.
Right.
And then we'll have one on the 24th of March.
If, you think we need to put that on there? You said it got a little backed
we
up.
need something before.
We just need to make sure Mr. Khan's timeline is met.
It's good, okay.
Okay.
So just one.
I'm sorry, sir? Dr. Washington?
We just need to make sure that Mr. Khan's timeline is met, that
He
there's a
says he's
meeting.
fine with it.
Okay.
So my question is, though, do we need the one on the 24th, or do you want to call it special if we need it?
We can call it special.
All right.
Okay, let's stay with the March 3rd meeting, and then we'll, if we need to have one, we'll have a special meeting on the 24th of March. That settles with March. On October,
Can we just like put a TBA or TBD on that if we?
Just make it a special.
Just
I
make
know,
it
I know,
special.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, we don't have to.
Don't put it on the calendar.
schedule it all.
Yeah, I would suggest don't put it on the
Yeah,
calendar. We'll
right.
just-
We can always-
There's an expectation that.
we can always add it, Gary.
Got it, okay.
Okay, then October 6th, we have, that's, October 6th is one, and that's,
Taking that one off, October 6th, is that what you said?
no, we want to stay with the October 6th meeting?
That's the one that comes
No,
off.
that's the one that comes
great.
off.
During the break,
October 6th is the one that comes off, that's
Okay.
during break.
And
We
add-
have it October 20th,
Keep that
October,
one.
that's after break, yeah.
okay, so we keep one on October 20th. That takes care of October and March, and then July will takes care of that one, because we can always, actually have a meeting if we need to have it on the second meeting.
And we're gonna add the 20th as a study session.
We have it already on January 28th, study session. You got that, Dr. Washer?
Yes,
Okay.
January 28th study session.
Any other moves on this calendar,
Will the study session be at 7 also?
6 o'clock
Usually we do
generally.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, that settles the calendar.
One
Everybody,
other thing, Mr. President,
Yes.
just for the Stockton area dates, just to let you know that, you know, we've been working on trying to find another place other than Julia Morgan. Bear Creek is available 2 out of 3 of those days, so that's a possibility. Or we could stay at Julia Morgan. I don't know if you have a preference on either way, but that's what we're looking at this point.
My feeling is that we need to have live streaming and an area which the audience can hear. And from what I feel from my other board members, Julia Morgan hasn't been able to do that. How are we doing with Bear Creek in that situation?
Bear Creek would be better in terms of acoustics, and I'm sure that our
Technology.
folks can figure out how to get the other set up. They're
Where would
just
they do it at Bear Creek?
in the theater.
Okay.
It's a smaller, I know some board members may be concerned about the stage element, but it is much smaller than McNair, so you wouldn't have that
right.
distance between the board and the audience.
Yeah, it's a lot closer, which is nicer than McNair's, way too big.
Okay.
So we have 2 then at Bear Creek, and we'll have a live streaming and.
They are only available 2, and Valerie, I'm sorry, which 2 are they available?
What about McNair then?
They are not available in
We got one.
February.
Which one, Valerie?
They're available in May and August, but not in
Can we
February.
go to McNair then in February?
I would like to have something on the east side. We have a lot of schools. Have we looked at Marana Middle? Is there any?
I'm not sure that would be any better than the setup at Julia Morgan.
Look, let's just
Why don't we just
The
let you
principal's
guys?
about-
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's-
figure it out.
make it happen. So
Let's have it so we can have the streaming and get the dates down. on the North Stockton area, please, okay? Now let's go on, continue on, so we don't stay on this calendar till 9:30. Okay, let's go with, board subcommittee appointments. We call for volunteers.
Are we gonna vote?
At the moment, we don't have a live stream mobile, because that might, I don't know how long that will take to figure out. Our cameras are currently wired into this room. So whatever.
We have mobile for sports, don't we, so why couldn't we do that?
Isn't Periscope available? Is that an app on everyone's phone?
We can do something. I don't know what the quality will look like. Like I said, everything's built into here to do that. I don't know what the quality of the video and audio will be.
Mike, I know you
Yeah.
create magic things. You'll create magic things and have that ready for
Basically get
us.
it done.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Would you like the board to approve the calendar with those changes, or would you like to wait until the next meeting?
Let's go ahead and approve it so we don't have to wait
Mr. President.
to make a change. Mr. Freitas,
I move to approve the calendar with the changes.
okay, moved in second. Moved by Mr. Freitas, second by Mr. Neely to have the calendar as suggested. Okay.
Is it possible in the future that we look at a calendar of governance, where we look at special topics on certain board meetings, say facilities on one, another one would be something else, so people would know what to expect?
Absolutely, we can. You bet.
Get something like that together,
so.
instead of just saying regular meeting, so
Right.
that people could attend, knowing when things will be popping up that we are spending a little more extra time on.
Yes. And I'd like some other changes, Mr. Porter, also that I will bring up in January.
I'll leave that up to your
Yeah.
expertise, Mr. Donald.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Okay, let's continue on with the call for volunteers. We have Board Audit Review Committee. Do we have to, or we just want consensus on
Did
that?
you vote on the calendar?
No, we have to.
Oh, we have it. Call for the student vote, please, on the changes on the board calendar.
Yes.
Anna Maria?
There.
Okay, passes 7-0. Calendar is approved. All right, let's go with our subcommittees. Board Audit Review Committee, 3 appointees. Right now, we have Mr. Heberly, Ms. McFarland, and Mr. Knapsack.
I would stay on it.
Stay on it, Mr. Heberly,
I would you?
Mr.
Okay,
Knapsack,
I'll stay.
and Ms. McFarland will stay. So we'll have 3 on that, same 3 that have served last year. City of Lodi 2x2 Committee appointees are Mr. Heberly and Mr. Neely. Want to take it both?
I'm good.
Okay, perfect.
I was hoping to get on that.
Is there any way that we could do 3
Three?
on the meeting? Why not?
Yeah,
Make it
You
a
could
3.
make it a 3x2
3 by
or a
2.
3x3, so
yeah.
totally up to you.
I would, yeah.
I would suggest that would be a good thing. So let's add Mr. Porter to that committee. How's that? Instead of two by two, it'd be 3x2.
No, you need 4. All right.
Or 3x3. 2x2 can stay, it doesn't matter. I don't think that-
They're open meetings anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, City of Stockton, 2x2 committee, 2 appointees. I'm in it, and Mr. Knapsack is that, so we will both take that one.
I would like to be on that one also.
Okay, Susan McFarland, let's add Susan to that. And hopefully that this year we can have more action with the City of Stockton. That has been in absentees somehow, and also in Lodi, so we can get some type of, consensus of what's happening in the City of Stockton, Lodi, and the board. Okay, then we'll go to San Joaquin County 2x2. 2 appointees, serving right now is Mr. Freitas and Mr. Neely.
Mr. President, I'd like to remain on that committee.
Okay, Mr. Freitas, Mr. Neely, so no changes on that.
I'd also like to nominate Ms. McFarland to be on the committee.
I don't think Mr. McFarland would like to be on that committee. Go ahead.
Do you need me?
You got the county schools.
Oh, I can, you're right.
Okay.
I'd love to be on
No,
that.
this is not the county schools.
No.
This is the county. Not the Department County.
No, that's the San Joaquin
Correct.
County.
It's similar to the 2x2 with Lodi and Stockton.
Yes, only it's the county.
It's the Board of Supervisors.
Correct.
Not, yes.
Okay, so what are the wishes on that one?
I will do it.
She will do it. So we'll have 3 on that committee.
And you will be.
Yes.
Yes. All right, City of Stockton, Parks and Recreation, 1 appointing. I would like to stay with the City of Stockton, Parks and Recreation.
You got it.
All right, thank you. All right, Joe Serna Charter Academy Committee, 1 appointee. I know Ms. McFarland has it now.
Pick me.
If she picks herself, let's do it.
I would love to have another board member join me from time to time.
I will be glad to volunteer.
Thank you.
Volunteer, so we'll officially put you on that committee, Mr.
Thank you,
Porter.
Mr.
How's that?
I'm not sure if their charter specifies if it's one.
It doesn't.
It says 1 appointee on that, but we haven't explored the possibility of their constitution now, so whether they allow 2 or 3, who knows?
One vice appointed.
Right, one vice.
Should.
All right, Legislative Advocacy Committee, 3 appointees. We have Mr. Freitas, Mr. Heberly, and Mr. Neely.
Mr. President.
Okay, all 3?
Yep.
Perfect. Wow, this is going pretty good. Energy Conservation Committee, 3 appointees.
Mr. President, this committee hasn't met in a long time. I don't know if you want to continue. It was part of a grant funds.
I take offense to that. I spent a lot of time on energy conservation. Lodi City and trying to get solar.
Okay, I have a note here, Mr. Porter. It is
No,
staff,
If there is nothing there, I will
it
grab
is,
it.
it is staff recommendation to dissolve this committee as it is no longer needed and has not met for 5 years.
Okay, let's drop it.
Let's drop it then, so the Energy Conservation Committee is dropped. All right, Pot's right, let's go to the next item. The California School Boards Association, I'll let Mr. Neely handle this one for us.
Thank you, Mr. Nubbin. Congratulations on being president.
Thank you, sir.
You're doing a fine job so far. Just keep it up. All right, tonight is a nomination process. This is not a vote. There are 4 open seats this year, but we can nominate as many as we want, and then they'll come up on the ballot to be elected, and then the term actually begins in March. Those nominated must submit required forms to CSBA by January 7th. Tonight, I would like to nominate from our board, Mr. Courtney Porter. I would very much like to work with Mr. Porter as a delegate, and I think he would be a valuable addition to the entire assembly.
I appreciate and accept those kind words, Mr. Neely. I would gladly, hopefully, be a delegate for CSBA.
Fantastic.
Anybody else?
We have, there are 4 current delegates on there. I don't think there's any problem. There's no problem that I want to bring up with them. They should probably, we should probably pass them on through, since we can also nominate as many as we want. What will come around, and it'll all come out as a vote. That's when everything happens. So, with that,
Mr. Neely, I'd like to nominate you.
Well, he's already in
I'm
term.
on it. These are 2-year
Yeah.
terms, so my term's
Yeah.
not up next year. But you heard it, that's for next December, I've been nominated, okay?
Yes, okay, so your term expires next year.
All right, can I get a second on that? No. So I would like to nominate Mr. Porter and then the 4 people that are on the list there. They're going to be on the ballot, they've already submitted their paperwork, so.
Did very well. Okay, we have Mr. Neely and Mr. Porter from Lodi Unified School District. We'll continue with the agenda. We'd like to have, I'd like, if the board is in agreement, to get Measure U and Measure L reports at this time, because it's going to be a lengthy agenda, and I would like to move them up if there's no problem. This would be item 4 and item 5. Mr. Khan on item 4.
Do we need to vote on the last one?
Do we need to vote on the CSBA delegate?
It's a verbal.
No, it's only, verbal call. Verbal call.
They didn't do a roll call. Did you do a roll call?
We didn't do.
They didn't do a roll call.
Roll call. Roll call.
To add Mr. Porter to the delegate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, I
Aye.
just said, okay. Aye, aye, okay, aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Porter. Got some duties, extra duties. All right, Mr. Khan?
Thank you, President Nava. Congratulations to the new organization. I'd like to welcome to the microphone the president of our Measure U Bond Oversight Committee, Alex Alaferis, and also a fellow member, Terry Hedden. We'd like to present in two votes, other action item 4 and other action 5, the 2017-2018 Bond Oversight Committee report, and also the 2018-2019 Bond Oversight Committee report. The board may recall we've had trouble maintaining either the appropriate number of members on our oversight committees or achieving a quorum. I'd like to thank President Alaferis for all the hard work he and the committee has done to actually present the 17-18 report and also catch us up to date on our 2018-2019 obligations. Without further ado, Mr. Alaferis.
Good evening. My name is Alex Olaferis. As you all know, I'm the chair of the Measure U Citizens Oversight Committee, which is a bond oversight committee for Measure U, which was passed in 2016. And the first report I'm going to begin with is July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. And of course, the annual report is submitted in accordance with Section 7B of the bylaws for the Lodi Unified School District Measure U Citizens Oversight Committee. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I'm going to highlight major points. And both reports, this report was reviewed and approved by the full committee on December 10th, 2019. And at this time we had, during the time period of this report, the committee included the following members: Jeff Seabolt, David Murky, Kristen Kurtz, Jerry Glenn, Michael Mark, myself, and Terry Hayden. And of course, the regular committee meetings, Vicky Broom and Leonard Kahn have been instrumental in giving us reports, and whatever information that we requested, we got on hand and so forth. The summary of the Measure U Committee's activities from 2017-2018 included approving the meeting schedule, received and reviewed the audited financial statements for fiscal year 2017-2018, reviewed and accepted the performance audit for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018, reviewed quick start projects including bids, budget to bid, and performance to bid, reviewed new and ongoing Measure U projects to ensure they are within the scope of the school facilities project as detailed in the Measure U text. Monitored project progress reports of proposed ongoing and completed Measure U projects and reviewed quarterly financial reports. And of course, in accordance with the California Constitution, Article 13A, Section 1B3, the estimate tax to be levied cannot exceed $60 per $100,000 assessed property value. And at this time, it was in 2018, the tax for Measure U was $53.70 per $100,000 assessed value. So and then the 2017 and 2018 financial audit report was prepared by Gilbert and Associates. In addition, the Financial Report Committee reviewed the performance audit of Measure U bond expenditures, and the findings are as follows. Procedures performed, verified expenditures, agreed to the supporting documentation, including requisitions, invoices, purchase orders, and construction contracts. Procedures performed, verified expenditures were in compliance with regulations of the Article 13A, Section 1B3 of the California Constitution construction projects outlined by Measure U. Procedures performed, verified expenditures were not used for teacher and administrative salaries or other school operating expenses as required by Section 7B of the bylaws. So in conclusion of this report, the Measure U Citizens Oversight Committee members have concluded that the Lodi Unified School District is in compliance with the requirements set forth by Measure U bond election and its bylaws. So this is the first report. Do we So I submit this
Wishes
report
the board may
to the
take
board.
action to approve or accept this.
Okay, thank you, Alex, for that great report.
And I got a second one, I'll follow that as briefly, but this is sort of the
Shortly, you have a second one with Measure U?
Measure U,
Oh.
we're both Measure U. of
Both
course.
Measure U.
We're Measure
I
U.
have one question. Do we have a full membership on the committee?
Yes, we do. For
Perfect.
membership, yeah. We
Great.
had, in the second report, I'll go into detail because we had several resignations, but now we're full,
Very good,
yeah.
very good. Okay, let's entertain a motion on this report.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Been motion by Mr. Heberly, second by Ms. McFarland to approve this Measure U report. Student vote?
Yes.
And I need some help, Mike. How do I get out of this? I got it. Thank you, Mike. All right, board vote? Board vote 7-0. Motion
President,
carries.
Nava, members of the board, Dr. Washer, the board's just approved the 17-18 Measure U report. Chairman Al Ferris will now present the 2018-2019 measure.
So the report is from July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, Measure U Citizens Oversight Committee. I'm not going to go over the first paragraph. It's basically the same. The annual report is submitted in accordance with the Section B of the bylaws for this Lodi Unified School District Measure U Citizens Oversight Committee. And this report was reviewed and approved by the full committee on December 10th, 2019. The overview, we had the committee had 3 resignations: Jerry Glenn, Jeff Siebold, and David Mercury that resigned this past year. And we have the committee has 2 new members, Claudia Minuti and Stephanie Hammond. I know Stephanie is in the audience. I don't know if you want to
Stand up, Stephanie.
stand up.
Stand up. There you go.
And also-
All right.
And also we have Terry Hayden. Hayden, stand up. Okay, here's Terry.
All right, Terry.
So we're active. And of course, Vicky Broom, Adina Andrus. She's been involved with Leonard Kahn. And these individuals are staff members, like I said before. I mean, when we ask information, they provide the information for us, and it's great. Summary of the Measure U committee's activities. All the activities of the committee are governed by the bylaws. The activities performed by the committee this year include the following: approved meeting schedule, received and reviewed the audited financial statements for fiscal year 2018-2019, reviewed and accepted a performance audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019, reviewed quick start projects including bids, bid to project, and performance to bid. We reviewed new and ongoing Measure U projects to ensure they are within the scope of the school facilities projects as detailed in Measure U text. We monitor the project progress reports on 49 proposed ongoing completed Measure U projects, which have occurred $8.5 million in total expenditures, and review quarterly financial reports. Now, with the Measure U tax rate estimate, according to the California Constitution, Article 13A, Section 1B3, the estimate tax cannot exceed $60 per 100,000. The average annual tax per 100,000 of assessed property value in 2019 tax year is $52.60. So we complied. And the 2018-2019 financial audit report prepared by Gilbert Associates and Incorporated is, in addition to the financial audit report, the committee reviewed the performance audit of Measure U bond expenditures, and the findings are as follows. Procedures performed, verified expenditures, agreed to the supporting documentation, including requisitions, invoices, purchase orders, and construction contracts. Procedures performed, verified expenditures were in compliance with the regulations of the Article 13A, Section 1B3 of the California Constitution and construction projects outlined by Measure U, and procedures performed, verified expenditures were not used for teacher and administrative salaries or other school operating expenses as required by Section 7B3 of the bylaws. Therefore, The Measure U Citizens Oversight Committee members have concluded Lodi Unified School District is in compliance with the requirements set forth by the Measure U bond election and its bylaws. So I submit this report to the full board.
Thank you, Alex. This is a 2018-19
Yes.
year. Any comments from the board? Comments from the audience? Need a motion.
Mr. President, I
Yes,
move
sir.
we approve the report for Measure U 2018-2019.
Been moved by Mr. Frater, second by Mr. Neely, to approve the 2018-19 Measure U report. Student vote, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Board vote, please. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you again, Alex, for all your work, and keep that committee going.
Thank you for volunteering.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Alex.
And a little plug in for Lodi Toastmasters. If you know why I'm very confident in speaking in public, Toastmasters. So anyone
Awesome.
in the audience that are afraid of going in front of people and
Yes.
talk, we have Lodi Toastmasters, and they meet every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. You can look on the website. So
Alex, I think I'm going to join that. All right, let's continue on with the agenda. We have a public hearing. I declare the public hearing open. Lodi Unified School District reopener with Lodi Education Association, LEA. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the public? If not, public hearing is closed. We have Superintendent's report, Dr. Washer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, a few things to share with you this evening. Tokay High School's Agriculture Department was honored to receive the Outstanding Medium-Sized Program Award for the Delta Cal section in November. According to advisor Jesse Peterson, Tokay Ag strives to give the students real-life, hands-on career and college readiness experiences, from public speaking contests to career development competitions, working on the school farm, and more. On November 21st, the students in Sarah Pullman's journalism class from Murata Middle School brought along their pads and pencils and reported on the University of Pacific's Women's Basketball Education Day contest against Weber State. The annual event featured more than 2,600 students from 25 schools coming to the Spano Center in the Game for a Day dedicated to education and literacy. Plaza Robles High School esports team, this is very exciting, secured a spot in the championships by defeating the Lincoln High School team at the December playoff match. The fall season championships will be held on Saturday, January 18th at the San Joaquin County Office of Education. Everyone is invited. Lodi Unified is well represented. Varsity team at McNair is undefeated and they will play against Lincoln. And JV McNair will play against Plaza. Needham School, we have a picture for this one. Needham School received a grant of $250 from Standards Plus to provide academic incentive prizes to their students. There they are. And we have a picture from Murata Middle School. Students jousting in their STEM class with their robots. Students have been building and programming their Lego robotics. And we have pictures from parenting partners at Lincoln Tech. These are parents who spend time learning about parenting skills and practices. And it is taught by staff and sometimes even by parents. So these are folks who are taking classes, and at the end of the session they have a graduation ceremony. And they are empowered to help their students with homework, to help their students with meeting with their teacher. They learn how to have parent conferences. They learn kind of the ropes about the school system itself. They also learn behavior management skills and techniques they can use at home, and just a wide variety of parenting strategies. And finally, Lodi Unified's Teacher Resource Fair will be held on Wednesday, January 15th from 3:30 to 6 o'clock p.m. at Tokay High School cafeteria. Publishers will be on hand, as well as vendors who support our programs. The publishers of the programs that we use in Lodi Unified will be available to answer questions related to their programs, and then everyone is invited to that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Washer, question.
Yes, sir.
Esports,
Yes.
how many schools?
Oh my goodness, we're expanding.
In
Joe
Lodi?
Bay has a couple teams, Plaza, McNair. That may be it for now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
We were
Doctor.
the first in the area.
Yes, we were. Thank you, Dr.
Mr.
Washer.
President, I have
Yes,
a question for the
Mr.
superintendent. Do we have anything going on in the community on January 11th?
Yes, we do.
What would that be? Anybody asks inquiringly?
The best crab feed
Oh, God.
is being held on January 11th to support Got Kids Foundation.
Get
There
your
are,
tickets now.
what tickets look like, they're $60 each. Well, worth it. Hot crab and a lot of fun. We held at the Lodi Boys and Girls Club to support Got Kids Foundation.
Thank you,
I
Doctor.
appreciate
How
that.
did you know?
Thank you, Mr. Heberly, for the reminder on God's Kids Foundation. Support it, and I know we're doing well with the youngsters. We have comments from the public now, continuing the agenda. A 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda. Each public speaker shall limit his or her comments to 3 minutes, but is welcome to distribute any materials to the board or our staff. Due to the restrictions imposed by the California Brown Act regarding discussing topics that are not on the agenda, board members may not engage in dialogue or about the issues. We have some people that want to make some comments. We have Patty Gurecki. Did I pronounce that right, ma'am?
Close.
Give it to me again.
Gurecki.
Gurecki. Not too bad.
Polish, what can you say? My name is Patty Gurecki, and my address is 4205 Limestone Drive, Antioch, California. Yes, I hung around for this board meeting. I've been working with payroll and personnel to reconcile my CalPERS earnings, and I have not received any answers. I've written down the situation for you since it's long and drawn out, and I'm asking for your help once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Next, we have Adriana Hernandez, Lodi Middle. The next person will be Aida Gonzalez, so if she gets ready, we'll be able to expedite these things. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Adriana. I'm not speak really good English.
I will help.
Thank you.
Close your microphone, please.
Okay.
I can't hear that well.
Estoy aquí para hablar acerca de la escuela Loda y Miro.
I'm here to speak on behalf of Lodi Middle School.
Ya tenemos muchos problemas en la escuela.
There are a lot of issues at the school.
Tenemos los baños no sirven para los niños. Son muchos niños y son muy pocos baños.
There are a lot of students and there are issues with restrooms for the students.
El gimnasio, las mesas están muy viejas, las sillas.
The multi-purpose room / cafeteria, the tables are broken, have holes in them, and the benches as well.
Mhm. And the library too.
And the library too. She says it's small. We need to get a better facility for the students at Lodi Middle School.
Nosotros como papás nunca nos hemos dado cuenta, pero nuestros hijos llegan a la casa y nos dicen los problemas que están teniendo. So, queremos involucrarnos más en que hagan algo por ellos.
As parents, we want to get more involved. Our students are coming home and expressing and telling us what's going on at school. So we as parents would like to get more involved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, I can't discuss this, so I'm not going to discuss it, but if you could email me, George Neely, G. Neely at LodiUSD.net, email me a list of the problems that you guys see. I would greatly appreciate that. Mr. Cohn, I'd like to make an appointment with you, and you and I will go out there as soon as they get that to me, so it'll probably be after the break. And we'll take a look at it. But I'm not addressing the issue.
Thank you. Muchas gracias, señora Hernández. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you.
Aida González. Also Lodi Middle School.
Hi, my name is Aida González. Buenas tardes. Yo también vengo hablando del mismo problema de los niños, que son solamente 8 baños para niños y no todos sirven. Y son 6 baños para mujeres y no todos sirven. Y en total son 995 niños para usar unos cuantos baños que en realidad no sirven, porque de tanto uso se tapan y están llenos de agua, y eso es un riesgo también para la salud de los niños, el que esté el líquido en el baño.
Okay. Just wanted to share, there's issues with the restrooms at Lodi Middle School. There's 6 bathrooms for the girls and 8 for the boys, with a student enrollment of 995, which they're having issues with baggage, clogged lines on a daily basis because of the amount of students that there is. The cafeteria, again, there's tables that are not adequate for the students, and the classes, there's no music classes and more sports for the students.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Maria Nayit. I hope I have it. Maria
Mejía.
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 Oh, Mejía. María Mejía. Pásale, por favor.
Gracias.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Mejia, and I am here for talking about the Lodi Middle School. And I need translator. I am a student English, the English student, pero I need translator. Sorry. Estoy aquí para hablar sobre la escuela Middle School. Últimamente que voy a estudiar inglés en la escuela.
Okay, she's saying she's a parent and she's going to she's taking the English classes at Lodi Middle School. So she's been more.
Me he dado cuenta de que hay varias necesidades para nuestros hijos. La librería está bastante, mesas muy viejas, con sillas muy incómodas.
As a student of the English classes, she says she's come to recognize the tables and the chairs are very old and outdated and very uncomfortable.
Platicando con mi hija que está en el club de voleibol, ella me comentaba que practica el voleibol en la cafetería, pero al mismo tiempo hay estudiantes de música que están en el teatro, o sea, 2 clases juntas, música y un club de voleibol. O sea, no hay cuarto de música para la escuela.
Her daughter is on the volleyball team, and she says they practice in the cafeteria, the multi-purpose room, which is also having another class, the music class. So 2 classes are sharing the same room because there's not a music room for the school.
También mi hija me ha comentado que en la cafetería hay mesas dañadas en las que toman su lonche, ¿verdad? Aparte de, como dijo mi compañera, son muy poquitos baños para toda la población de la escuela, que son 995 estudiantes. Muchos estudiantes para una escuela muy pequeña.
The daughter was commenting as well about the multipurpose room, which is the cafeteria. The tables and the benches are not adequate. They're not
there's holes and this is where we want them to eat. The school is small, there are 995 students, and again, she's addressing the issues of the bathrooms because of the issues, the number of students we have for having the smallest campus.
Por favor, les pedimos que escuchen nuestras peticiones, lo necesitamos, son necesidades, pues cosas de primera necesidad, ¿verdad? Como los baños y tener un lugar digno para comer nuestros estudiantes. Muchas gracias por su atención.
Gracias, Ms. Mejia. Thank you, Ms. Mejia.
She would like you guys to hear the petitions that she's requesting for the bathrooms, for the safety, the health of the children, as well as the multi-purpose room.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next is Maria y Jesus.
Hi everyone. My name is Jesus Bravo, and my wife Maria Bravo. And I got before one daughter in middle school. Now it's going to K High, and now this is the second year I got my son in the school. He liked playing the guitar, and he say, "Oh, you know, got good place for the teaching music." And he say a couple days before, say to the teacher, go get a book, and the teacher say, "Oh, you need to take care by the book. It's too old. You need to hold it for over 20 years. How is go a book for 30 years?" And my son, he want to teach in music. And he say, "No, got a good place." The restroom, he say, "Oh, some restroom, it's no work." And some other schools got big buildings. And when let's go make something in this school.
Just reiterating, his son is a student, a music student, and he's saying that, you know, the books have to last over 30 years. How is that possible, that we have to take care of the books for 30 years? And I expect our students to excel.
Gracias. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jesus and Maria. I hope I don't massacre this one. Hinda Fuentes. Could you pronounce your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Mahianella Funes.
Again?
Mahianella Funes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you couldn't read my handwriting. Okay.
All right.
So I'm here on behalf of the volleyball program at Ronald E. McNair High School, and we were notified that at the end of our banquet, which we have at the end of every sports season, that our coaches were being terminated at the end of the year. And I'm here to ask that they aren't. They're being terminated because other teachers have shown interest in coaching our volleyball teams. Our coaches are Ashley Headstrong, Sabrina Merchnich, and J.R. Suliaco. And we know them as Coach Ashley, Coach Bree, and Coach J.R. Now, these three, they're all family. And when we were I'm only on JV team going into varsity, but going in as a freshman, I felt very comfortable with all three coaches, even though it was my first time. And with them being family, they obviously had a lot of communication going before them. They had a bond already formed with their team, and they always treated us pretty much like family. Like we were never singled out, or favoritism was never shown. And I feel if a teacher were to come in, it would, especially if it was just one coach was traded out for a teacher, that it would really kind of take a lot of adjusting for the team. And recently, we did very well this last season. the JV team, my team, became first and we were conference champions in our league. And then the freshman team also were conference champions. And our varsity finished second. And we feel that is a lot because of our bond with our coaches. They're very passionate about what they do. They care for the players a lot. I've played for club before and city league, and a lot of the coaches normally wouldn't go out of their way to make sure if their player's injured that they're icing it, they're taking the correct painkillers, they're getting it checked out, and overall just treating them like they're their child. My JV coach specifically, when we go in, she doesn't refer to us as her team, she refers to us as her babies, her children, her daughters. And same thing with the varsity coach and the coach JR, the freshman coach, is when we go in and we do our cheer, we don't say like just the volleyball team or McNair, we always say sisterhood or family or sisters and all. And I feel that with the bond that we've created with our coaches, that they've really figured everything out in the time they've coached. Coach Bree has been a coach since, gosh, forever. She says she's going on 14 years and her own daughter, which is the varsity coach, was on her team when she was assistant coach for the McNair varsity team. And I just feel like they really have everything figured out as far as how other coaches play and what we can do and adjust, and they really help us to bring the best out of us. And a lot of the things that would come out if a teacher would be put in is it would take more time for them to get adjusted to the players and get adjusted to the other coaches and other players, like other teams that we go against. For instance, Calaveras High has always been, at least the way I've been in there, it's always been such a big rivalry for us. Like, we know it's Bear Creek, but Calaveras High, we've always wanted to be, and we just feel that our coaches would bring us to that level, would really help us succeed and go off into college and help us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Elisabeth Sarate.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Some of these comments are becoming redundant, and I think Chris Neely's already addressed getting their complaints, so we might want to just ask for a word of support and move on. I might do this with
Buenas tardes a todos.
Thank you for
Buenas tardes.
Mi nombre es Elisabeth Zarate y también vengo con el grupo de las personas que pasaron hace rato a hablar sobre el mismo asunto de los baños, de la cafetería, del salón de ciencias, para que por favor nos pudieran ayudar a que haya mejoras, remodelación o alguna situación que pueda mejorar para nuestros estudiantes.
Once again, she's here addressing, she's with the group, and we're asking to please pay attention to what we're saying about the bathrooms, the students, the science classrooms. We need to have some kind of improvements and to give us some answers on, or some information on where we stand.
Thank you very much. Gracias.
Thank you.
Karina Merino.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Karina Merino, también soy de los padres que vienen de Lora y Miro. Tengo una niña igual en Lora y Miro. Venimos pidiendo ayuda porque necesitamos que renueven las clases de ciencia. Ya la clase está muy vieja, necesitamos eso, también lo de los baños. el drenaje de la entrada también sale mucha agua por el lado donde entran los niños y ocupamos que hagan como la entrada un poco más amplia porque son muchos niños y a la hora de que salen se amontonan todos y no pueden salir ellos.
She's with the group from Lodi Middle School. She's asking for help with there's drainage issues where it's really muddy. The entrance to the school is really narrow and needs to be widened because of the amount of students that we have. The classrooms, the science classrooms, they're really old is what she said. They need to be remodeled. We need some renovations done to the school. So she's asking to please listen that we do need some renovations in the school.
Gracias, Karina. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ana Marquez.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Ana Márquez, vengo también con el grupo de padres de la escuela Laura y Miro. Estamos aquí para pedir su ayuda para la escuela, ocupa que remodelen el laboratorio, ocupan nuevos como lo que usan
The science classrooms, they're old. They need new science classrooms updated with lab stations. That's what she's asking.
También las entradas para la escuela están muy chicas, porque si se pudieran ampliar, porque son muchos estudiantes y a la hora de entrada y de salida se amontonan mucho en las entradas y también se ocupa ayuda con el drenaje.
Once again, just going over the entrance to the school. It's too narrow for the amount of students we have, and there's a drainage issue on the Hamlin side. It's all muddy, it's all marsh because of the lack of the drainage. That the kids get in there and they get full of mud.
Gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Virgin Howard. Mahini Howard. Virgin, I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Virginia Howard. I was an educator for 39 years. Stockton Unified, I've been retired for 9. I have a granddaughter that goes to Mignard High School, very active in the volleyball program. I understand there might be a change in the staff, and to reiterate what Nella said, it's a very good program. The coaches care about the kids, and the kids care about, the coaches. All I have to say is if it's not broke, don't mess with it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Howard. Shala Howard.
Hello, my name is Shala Howard, and my daughter is Ashley Brown. She goes to McNair High School. She's in the volleyball team there, and just like my mother said, that was my mother. It was just that. I agree with everything she says, as well as Nella. There's no reason to change coaches. Everybody gets along great. We have a great communication, and I just don't see how it would work if you had somebody new taking the place of one of the coaches. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. That concludes our comments from, any more comments from the audience? Okay, we'll proceed with the agenda, going to board members' comments. To the left, Mr. Nini.
Thank you, Ms. Snow. I'll try to be quick about this. 2 weeks ago, we had the CSBA Academic Education Conference, or Annual Education Conference. And I'm going to report on it. What I'm going to ask is that this be added to the agenda for the regular meeting in January, and then we'll do a full report There's some great things that came out of that. I'll tell you, the seminars that I went to were professional growth systems, building excellence through personalized support, innovative summer learning programs for all, an innovative approach to career technical education for at-risk students, adopting compliant sex education without heartache. Great seminar on that one. A music immersion program that one school is doing, St. Gabriel, I believe it is, at one district's doing. Excellent. And finally, developing an early learning framework in order to increase learning opportunities for all students. I'm going to spend some time discussing that. Actually, I'm going to go back down to Southern California and visit a couple of those districts and get some more information on this, but we want to report out on that first meeting in January. I also attended a excellent session with some really dynamic speakers on Friday afternoon there on teacher career paths. It was well attended. It was standing room only there in the session. So anyway, that's all I've got for right now.
Standing room only, you said?
Standing room, well, at least for me, I had to stand.
Yes.
Mr. Beverly?
Yes. I've received a few comments regarding next school year's student projections, the numbers, and we all know that those numbers do affect staffing. And I'm primarily talking about elementary. I don't actually live through that system and work through that system, but I do have kind of a base understanding of it. Those types of things do affect grade placement for teachers, combination classes, transfers and all that. But I think everybody also kind of needs to keep in mind that these numbers are very preliminary. And there's a couple of points regarding that I want to make. Is that one is, it's kind of a, do we hold the information until we get more updated information, or do we start planning early and let people know where we are at that point, for openness and accountability and those kinds of things. So I personally think it's better that we kind of get ahead of it and let people know what to expect and what may come. And let's face it, we all know, if we've been in the district any length of time, that the first out student population projections are projections. They change. So it's going to change. The second point that I want to make is there were quite a few comments about combination classes. And, this board and previous boards know that combination classes are not the most desirable. But we also know that the reality is there are going to be some. And this current school year, as previous years, the school board has authorized, pre-authorized basically, that if it makes sense, hire additional teachers so that we can minimize the number of combination classes where we can, like I said, where it's feasible. So a lot of this needs to be worked out. I get it that it is really tough to hear that the numbers aren't exactly where you would like them to be, and those kinds of grades and transfers and all that. I mean, it is really quite a process. So it's just basically hang on. We're going to get updated information as we go, and we do understand the difficulty of combination classes, and we've already done that several times to try to eliminate as many of those as we can. So that's the first thing I want to mention. The second thing I want to mention is Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. It's a time of celebration, so everybody celebrate, have a good time, and I wish everyone a safe, happy, healthy New Year.
Feliz Navidad.
Mala Kaliki Maka.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Frieden?
Mr. President, I would like to thank former President Knackstadt for his leadership for the previous year and the human touch that he gave to the chair. It's always hard to be in the face of the organization, but you did it admirably and was greatly appreciated. Also, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Nava on his presidency. I know that you're going to do an amazing job for the next year, and I look forward to seeing all that you have in store for us. I'd like to thank all the speakers that came here today, Murad Middle and McNair. Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. We will be addressing this. Did I read in the newspaper about the district academic champions were announced for our sports athletes? Did I read something there? Could have printed it in the newspaper, but wasn't true, right? So, and I think recognized of the 3 teams was the Tokay High women's golf team. They were academic champions. So I know Mr. Porter and Mr. Everly like to say that swimmers always get the best grade, but way to go, Tokay women's golf team, and be recognized for your academic excellence. I would also join my colleagues with very, very happy holidays, very safe holidays, and when you're done with the holidays, we look forward to seeing you at Lodi's #1 event, and that is the Got Kids Crab Feed.
What is that again?
Got Kids Crab Feed, come one, come all. It is the event, Boys and Girls Club.
Where can they get tickets?
Where could you get tickets? That is a dark question.
Which person?
Anyway, I'll keep my comment short and wish everyone very, very happy holidays. Thank you.
Mr. Nava,
Yes,
excuse
sir.
me if I could interject before
You
you
bet.
scoot down that way.
You bet.
Thank you for your comments about Lodi Middle School. When I attended there, it was called Senior Elementary. I know the campus well. I was there a few years ago. And it does need sprucing up and some changes. And I'm sure that that is the plan that I've seen through Measure U. So it just takes a while to get those plans squared away. So yes, thank you for your comments.
Mr. Farr?
Yeah.
Knackstadt?
Yes, I have 2 community events I wanted to report on. On a very, very cold Saturday, the Womble Rumble race was held at Lodi Lake. This is a fundraiser for the Lodi High School track program, but more important than that, it's a remembrance of Don Womble. Don was a teacher at Lodi Unified for many, many years, and in addition to that, he was my mentor and friend. Anthony Rodriguez is one of the track coaches at Lodi High School, did a great job organizing the event. They had many, many races for different age groups. They moved up to automatic timing. Lodi High School cheerleaders were at the finish line applauding all finishers. Corporate sponsors were had, raffle prizes were given out. Lou Womble, Don's wife, was there. It was just very well done. And the second running thing was last Friday, a group of current and retired teachers, Lodi teachers took the streets of Lodi passing out candy canes and getting a lot of laughs. This is a tradition that started by a Lodi High School teacher, Bill Bowers, back in the 90s, and it's still going. We even had some administrators running this time. Thank you, Mr. Palmquist, wherever you are. It just shows. It's fun and people are involved, but all of this is done by our teachers and the kids, of course, and admin. So to me, it just shows what a great district that we have. Because this is, and this happens in all schools. I just happen to be familiar with the running part of it. But anyway, I want to pass that along and congratulate all those people involved in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Mr. Nava? Yeah, I have to comment on that. I did see them dressed in red with Christmas hats on. I was a little scared. I drove my car almost off the road.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were coming from Gary's Lounge or something like that. Yeah, but I did see them, so I didn't quite know what that group of men were doing.
Don't be scared.
They accomplished their goal. Okay.
Yeah, they're scaring me. Yeah. On 11/25, I met with Principal and thus regarding her issues at Live Oak and Migrant Ed. It was my first sit down with a principal in the district. Was very, very impressed by her professionalism. A lot of her ideas are data driven, plus she came up with some wonderful things through collaboration and interviewing her teachers, sit downs, various opinions in dealing with the issue of migrant ed that hits Live Oak very hard. I walked away more informed and a little bit more sympathetic to the issues that they have out there at that school. It is unique, and I think that that's an issue that we need to tackle, both at Live Oak and of course at the other schools where we have migrant ed students. It is something that's a part of our community, and we need to make everything as comfortable as possible for those students that have to leave because of economic reasons. The other issue was, getting back to what Mr. Neely was talking about, was CSBA, which was my first time attending a conference. And I found it extremely enlightening for me. I attended a conference on EL. I also looked at board self-evaluation, which I'm going to talk about now. I'll talk about in a minute, that I want to put on the agenda, where we pay the CSBA to come in. It's $2,700, and they do an evaluation of the board and how the board functions. And the results are done in an open session, so that you, as who we work for, people in the community, see how this board functions, our areas of strengths and our areas of weakness. And it's not very, it's just eye-opening to see areas that we need to improve on, and areas that maybe we're very strong on as well. And of course, you have comments that they come from the community. So that's something I want to push for. I think it would be very helpful. The other was PBIS, and that's something I want to put on the agenda for next week. I would like to know how we are doing in implementing PBIS and how it's working for interventions with students. Teachers are using areas. Teachers are marking in behavioral problems in their classrooms. Teachers are doing truancy issues. Teachers are doing student outbursts. Teachers are doing kids that are maybe have health issues or maybe depression or things like that, mental issues. They are putting it into areas, but my next thing is, what happens? Where are the triggers? What are we doing? Do we have wellness centers set up to help these kids and target them early? Because we know if we don't get them by 3rd or 4th grade and get them on the right path, that path is not a very happy one, especially towards school. And what I've seen so far with the use of areas in my teaching experience in high school is a revolving door. We put it into areas, they might go to pause or detention, and they might not go, or they just turn around and come back to your class. And there's no substance in terms of trying to help the student find out at the core what's wrong. The other one that was really, really fascinating to me, because I have 2 boys that love to game, and was entitled Tech Addiction. How our youth today are becoming addicted to tech. And it's a scary situation. We're starting to see a lot of 504s in schools where kids are now required, because of their addiction to technology, where parents are asking for a book, a pencil, and paper. They do not want them using Chromebooks because they're spending so much time on the screen. And they looked at what some of these gamers are doing and how they're hiring neuroscience to look at how the brain reacts to different games and how it's releasing endorphins and how these kids are becoming addicted and how it affects brain growth, even up to the age of 24. And I found it completely interesting. The people that were putting forward were really well-based in their science. And I happened to sit next to a lady who was a neuroscience biologist, and she said everything they're saying is true. And the areas that are not growing properly in our young kids as they become adults are the areas of empathy and compassion. And that is scary. So as we talk about one-to-one and bringing our Chromebooks home and doing reverse teaching where you have lectures and all this and the kids are required to look at that screen, it's not a good thing. Comprehension is lower instead of reading a book, and they're finding that kids are not assimilating well in terms of socially. that their social connections are coming through online. And I can speak with experience on this. My boys are heavily into gaming, and we talked about it. I talked with one of them tonight. We are actually going to move towards one day where we have no tech, no TV, no phones, nothing. We all just sit around and maybe talk. God will let it be a boring day, but we'll get it done. So I found that very important. But what I would like to push forward to Dr. Washer is moving forward on the board self-evaluation through CSBA. And I would like to get on the agenda, what are we doing with PBIS? Because right now I don't see triggers that are in place to assist teachers, but more importantly, assist the young students to find the correct path, be it through mental assistance, health, maybe they just need a talking to, maybe something's going on at home, maybe they have parents that are addicted, maybe there's a homeless situation we're not aware of. We need to put them on the right pathway. A good talking to by the vice principal or AP every time is not the correct answer to help these young people. So thank you, and I hope we look forward to having those on the agenda so we can discuss them and maybe vote on that board evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. A thought came to my mind. I know Mr. Neely, Mr. Porter, Ms. McFarland, Mr. Freitas attended the CBS meeting, or CSBA meeting in San Diego this last December 1st, 2nd and 3rd or 4th. And I would like to see, I know Mr. Porter has talked about accountability and in reports when you go out on sessions like this. I would like the board to have a study session on this. Instead, I know some of the things can be taken care of on the agenda, but if we go, like George mentioned, a lot of things on that list that he has there, and then I know Susan has something to contribute. And the study session, if we get the study session, we're relaxed, we talk about it, give you the report, and then the audience can listen and then give us some feedback and so forth. And that would cut down on the agenda items that we might have. Let's give it some thought on that. Okay, I wanted to tell Mr. Freitas that he mentioned the Tokay girls golf team took the first place on the all academic that the San Joaquin section releases on the fall, and they get the top 5 teams. They were number 1 with a 3.75 GPA. The Tokay water polo was 4th with a 3.4 GPA. And that's the positive things. Now, I know that the short time since I was elected to this chair here, I wanted to have some time and study a little bit about a lot of things that we do in our district and have a state of the district address the next time that I come to the meeting, and that way I will know it has to do with the goals and so forth and so on and what we want to accomplish. I know Mr. Neely and Mr. Porter have talked about going to another level, and I want to explore that a little bit, and quality and all those kinds of things that we have. So that's all for me today, and let's continue on with the agenda. We have a consent agenda A. Does any board members want to pull any of the items on the consent agenda A? Anybody in the audience?
A4.
A4 for who? Who's
Leah.
Leah, thank you.
Mr. President, staff would like to pull A16.
A16.
Oh, sorry. A9.
Deborah, A9.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the remainder of consent agenda A.
Second.
It's been moved and moved by Mr. Freitas, second by Mr. Knacksack, to approve the rest of routine agenda A. Student vote?
Yes.
Board vote? Okay, you pull them up. You know which ones, Maria?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, she's got just. Have you got the items that we pulled, Maria?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You had 9.
All right, we're ready. Okay, board vote. Approval of consent agenda A for all those items, 7-0. Okay, let's go with A4. Michelle, Leah?
Good evening, President Nava, members of the board. I asked to pull A9. I know it's regarding the Needham,
It's
A9,
item 4.
A4,
Yes,
excuse me.
Yes.
The Needham demolition, there was some talk about the demolition affecting the timeline of the start of school. We understand that the bid went out with assurances that there would not be any change to delay the start of school for Needham School. Just want to really make sure we've got hard confirmation on those bids going out for this job, that they can get it done in the timeline and really hold the feet to the fire. So I kind of am looking to Mr. Khan, because I know there was discussion about delaying the start time because of how long the construction demolition part would be. So concern, hopefully with this bid, that's resolved through the chair, if
Mr.
that's
Khan?
okay.
You have a comment?
Hard confirmation confirmed.
Okay.
No
Thank you,
delay.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Freitas.
I move to approve item A4 with the hard confirmation.
Okay.
Second.
Well, I have a motion by Mr. Freitas, second by Ms. McFarland, to approve item A4. Student vote?
Yes.
Board vote? Item A4 passes 7-0. Okay, we got item A9. Ms. Deborah?
Thank you, President Nava, members of the board. I pulled this item just to speak briefly to it. It's about the salary schedule for classified substitutes, and I just wanted to offer a little bit more information. The reason I'm sure that you're bringing this forward for January 1st is because minimum wage will be going up on January 1st. It's going to go up each year, January 1st of 2021 and 22. So what I have here is just a little chart for you to show you our current classified employees' salary schedule and what will be compressed over the next few years, just so that you have a little bit of a frame of reference of what's going on with our salary schedule. And then on the second page, what I've done is I've highlighted all of the different jobs that will be compressed. So these people would all be making the same wage in a couple of years if we just push everybody at the bottom to minimum wage. And to point out that would mean that folks who are required to pass tests to have their job would be paid the same as people who are not required to pass tests to have their job. So that's what we're looking at. So
Thank you, Deborah. You have copies for us?
I do.
Awesome.
Mr. President,
Mr. Freitas.
I move to approve item A9.
Second.
Been moved and second, moved by Mr. Freitas, second by Ms. McFarland to approve item A9. Student vote?
Yes.
Board vote? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, the staff has selected to pull item A16.
Mr. President, members of the board, we'd like to pull this for further research.
Okay,
We would like to bring it back at another time.
okay, hear a motion on
Move
this?
to approve.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Let's have a motion.
Table.
I move to table
Or-
item A16 to a later date.
Second.
Has been moved to table item A16 by Mr. Freitas and Mr. Porter second. Student vote?
Yes.
Board vote? Come on.
Vote on table?
Yeah.
When this happened.
Okay, the vote was 7-0 to table item A16. Let's continue on with the agenda. Items from consent agenda B.
Mr. President,
Mr.
move to
Neely.
approve.
Move to approve.
I thought we had changed.
Mr. President,
Oh, that's, okay.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment, and that would be to vote separately on student 19/20-10-14.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Then we have a motion to amend.
Second the amendment.
Second the amendment. It's been made, motion by Mr. Freitas to amend the motion to table, not to table, but to
Vote separately.
amend, vote separately on 19/20-10-14. All right, let's vote for, students do not vote on this. This is student matter, so the rest of the student, consent agenda B, board vote. 7-0 passes. Okay, Mr. Freitas.
Mr. Freitas, as to the discipline on student 19/20-10-14, I move that the discipline be a suspended expulsion.
Second.
Made a motion that, Mr. Freitas made a motion that student 19/20-10A be a suspended expulsion, second by Mr. Porter. Students do not vote on this. Let's have a board vote. Motion carries 7-0. That concludes, I'm sorry. Okay, 6-1. All right, very close. Okay, other action items. Rio Valley Charter School renewal. Dr. Washer.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This is the time when Rio Valley is submitting their petition to renew their charter with Lodi Unified School District. We have a findings of fact for you that has been submitted to you and to the petitioners. And we are asking that if you make a motion that you do state the resolution number in that motion. What we're recommending is that you approve with conditions, and the conditions are outlined in that resolution based on the findings of fact. There are some items that we would like to get cleaned up, and it is our understanding that the petitioners are cooperating and are willing to do that. We've had a good working relationship with them, and so we are recommending approval based on those conditions.
Any board comments?
A question.
Question from Mr. Neely.
Looking at the numbers for Rio Valley, they're up in the 800 area for students, but that's in multiple campuses. Is that correct?
They are here if you would like to address questions to Mr. Keeper.
I'm sorry, did you get the question?
I did, Board, and thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. We have over 800 students in Sacramento and San Joaquin County in many different school districts.
Okay, how many do you have here at Lodi?
I want to say we have, so we think we have upwards of 600.
Here at Lodi?
But that number has grown due to the fact that we've really implemented homeschooling efforts. So there's homeschoolers that were the other programs, and we're finding they are wanting to come to our program. more so than others. I actually that number might be a little high because we have how many students in Elk Grove? And then how many in Broadway?
95.
How many?
95.
Okay.
I was under the assumption that you guys, I remember when Rio Valley was first approved, I was here in the audience when I supported you guys, because you were targeted more as a continuation high school that would ease some of the problems that we had, numbers from our continuation high schools. But now you're telling me you're going into after homeschool.
So that is the case. So homeschooling.
We approved that change?
It's always been an independent study. We've always had some homeschool students, and we still service students who are at risk. And so it's been 5 years, and so I wouldn't say it's a change because I believe the charter has always said that we would have homeschool students as well.
But I guess when that was presented, and maybe this is my fault, and I shouldn't have assumed this, but when you're talking about a continuation type homeschool, continuation type school, high school, and you're talking about homeschooling, I'm assuming that it's for that intent. But now you're specifically targeting homeschool students anyway. Is that correct?
No, we're not specifically targeting any school students. They reach out to us, so they may not have the capability to come to our resource center, and so
that must be a nice place to be when homeschoolers just reach out. Do we have that issue where they just reach out to us? We do have an independent study program, right?
Yes, we do.
Where homeschoolers could come to us.
Yes.
But they don't just come to us. So we got to figure out what they're doing to get people just to come to them without them doing anything. I'm not real happy about this right now because also, when I looked at the numbers, I thought I saw that Lodi only had about 300 and something students, and now you're telling me 600. I'm a little concerned about some of this.
So I don't have that document in front of me, the specific number of students.
Yeah.
So I don't have that number in front of me. But what I do know is the students that are coming to us. Like I said, I can't.
Something's not right here.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I mean it's.
Well, can you explain to me, and I'm sorry, somebody.
Go ahead, please.
I'm in 10th grade. What is a home study? Is that correct?
Sure, homeschool, home study.
Well, what's my day like?
So we would have a teacher that would be attached to that family.
And how many families does that teacher have?
So every teacher in our school has 28 students per teacher.
And they just go from home to home to home?
They would, or they might see them collectively at a library.
At a library.
Certainly.
And your rigor, how do you do science?
So everything we do is based on the Common Core state standards. Everything we do is supplemented with using state-approved programs, including MAP, which is the NWEA. So we assess the students, and then we provide them with Exact Path, which is a program that allows them to fill gaps that they have. Right. The effort that we're doing is moving those students considerably in a non-traditional environment.
Is that done all online?
That part is done online, maybe 20 to 30 minutes a day at most, typically. And then families are provided curriculum that we currently use in state-adopted curriculum, Go Math for elementary and Journeys for language arts. And so the parents are trained by the teacher on how to use the materials at the elementary level.
And you said that they come to you.
So
what type of student is coming to you?
So we are the Homeschool Network has its own network, and we promote ourselves on Facebook for things that we do that homeschool families would find good for their families. And so
you promote on Facebook, is that correct?
Yeah. So our Facebook is active, and we promote activities For instance, we received a grant to have students do work, and this is mostly high school kids, and really the at-risk kids that Mr. Neely was referring to, where they would fill out a packet and do language arts materials in order to qualify to go to the play Hamilton. And so we have a bunch of kids that have that opportunity. And so a parent sees that and says, wow, they coach me on how to do curriculum for my children. They're measuring me against the other kids that are in traditional education. And they have high expectations for my kids. And so that's what we're doing. And I think I'd like to say that the charter petition outlined that. Certainly we're moving our scores up in language arts and mathematics. We feel like we're on a real trajectory. It is not our intent to have more kids.
But are your scores moving up because now you're marketing? If you're on Facebook and you're running that kind of, you're marketing. Is it because you're marketing to a more proficient student? Is that why your scores are going up? And how do you differentiate that? How can you tell if it's what you're doing there or the homeschool students that you're marketing to? And one more question too is, when does this have to be approved by? I don't want to disrupt their operations right now, but.
Mr. Neely, members of the board, we do have a timeline we need to follow. Rio Valley has agreed to an extension of the timeline that expires on December 20th. So the final date would be December 20th, so if you don't take action tonight, there would be a special meeting.
What would happen if we voted not to approve it?
We would need to show reasons for not approving. So if you are inclined or have concerns, my suggestion would be that we hold a special meeting on December 20th. At this point, we are recommending approval with conditions.
You are. What do you know, Dr. Washer, about this homeschool students?
It is our understanding that the students that they are serving are those who are choosing an alternative path other than traditional school setting, and that they offer that alternative path, and so parents are choosing that. It's a choice.
Am I not understanding this? I mean, when this originally came about, this is our second approval. Well, we approved the initial, we approved a continuation, and now, so this is the third time that Rio Vista has come before this board, right? Twice I've been on here. Once I was out in the audience watching.
Is this the third one?
Third time.
Third time.
And Mr. Neely, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just.
I want to just, when we came here, I believe it was 3 years ago, and it's in the petition, we added 2 resource centers, which makes it seem, I mean, we had to expand, and the board was very gracious about that because of the fact that the Shasta V. Anderson required us to expand our footprint into Sacramento County. And so, so it's not a raw number of 8. We didn't just get to 800. Within the district, yes, we've gotten larger, but we've gotten larger based on homeschoolers, not based on as many of the at-risk kids as we would have anticipated. We have an excellent footprint for those families on Kettleman.
Now, I can understand why you're doing this. I mean, why your school is doing this, why Rio Vista. Because, let's face it, if you're doing regular homeschool students, then it's fairly easy to do. There's a lot of resources out there that you can use. And it's very inexpensive as opposed to the ADA that you get on that. So it bolsters the other part of your curriculum or your school that I thought was the primary purpose was like a continuation school. So, do you remember that original?
Yes, I do.
Am I wrong?
No, you're correct.
Mr. Navi, you were on the board at the time.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I was.
And we had that discussion about, and I remember you guys asking about that.
Yes.
Is that, one of the questions was, well, why aren't we, these students going to Paso Robles or to Liberty? And the reason was, they were full. And they were going to do the overflow on this. But now we're looking at a completely different business model here.
Right.
All right. I guess I'm stuck with that.
Mr. Nava, or Mr. Neely, I am open. That was not the intention of anything. Certainly, it's not. That was not my intention tonight to have you feel as though you've been something different than what you expected. And I am open to suggestions from the board regarding student enrollment. I mean, certainly, as I mentioned, you know, I get nothing to have the school decide. There's no benefit to Polk, there's no benefit to PCI being this large. And if it's something that families have chosen us, but if there's something that the board feels that they would like to see differently, I'd be more than happy to entertain that. And so to that degree, I am not here to make you feel any other way than comfortable that we're supporting the community, and I feel, frankly, I feel like we've been doing that, and so.
Well, that's what we're here for, too.
I totally
That's our
agree.
main function in life, is to serve this community.
I totally agree. So.
Well, I would, real quick, I think that if we can educate our students in our district, that's our job.
Yeah.
And so I think there's enough questions being asked that we owe it to the students and the families to take a little closer look at this, at least before the 20th, before we just rubber stamp something.
Well, the 20th is only 3 days away.
Exactly.
Yes.
So this isn't gonna be resolved by the 20th. The only thing I can think of is that we pass this thing and then we start working a little bit. I'm not sure that we looked at this application closely enough and the data. I also looked at their data for special ed, which is extremely small percentage compared to ours.
Mr. Neely, we're 15% special education in our organization. We're higher than the state average by 5%. Those are the kids that are coming to us.
Those are not the kids that are that you're dealing with on site. You're dealing with those through off-site education, through homeschooling.
All of our resource centers we have 3 resource centers on Broadway and Oak Park, which is an impoverished neighborhood, and Elk Grove, and then here in Lodi. And all those we have special education kids throughout the school. 15% of the students are special education. Our costs are
Now, how much
extremely
does
high.
the special education encroach on your general fund?
We are part of the SELPA for Lodi Unified, so it's the equivalent. Your encroachments are encroachments. So it's substantial.
Okay, Mr. Neely, if we approve this, they have some deficiencies in special ed, according to some of the comments here that they have. And also we can include the subject that you're talking about, the students that are going to their school that we can service now at Liberty High School, our continuation school, and Plaza Robles, and independent study school we have. So if we approve this, if they don't correct the deficiencies, and then if we have some requirements that they need to have, then we can come back and reject it. Is that correct, Dr. Washer?
That is correct. If they do not meet the conditions as specified in Resolution 2019-108, then it would not be approved.
And what happens if we vote no?
Well, Dr. Washer, one of the things is staff's analyzed this application and did not find sufficient grounds for us to deny it.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, in order to deny the position, we have to make findings based on one of several items which are outlined on the front page of that resolution. And if we do not outline findings based on those, then there's no reason to deny.
But you do have areas of concern that you've outlined.
Correct.
Yes.
So this isn't a complete, clean bill of health.
It is a conditional improvement.
Right.
For 5 years.
So we're
Yes.
voting on a conditional
Conditional
approval.
approval, yes. If
Which
they
I
don't-
don't understand.
We're voting to approve based on Rio Valley's action to correct the items that are listed in the resolution,
Okay.
which they have agreed to do.
And many of these categories
They have.
are outside of our control. These are laws that state legislatures and other people have made that our district has to abide by, and whether we like it or not, and have to cope with. So with that understanding that this is a conditional approval, I would move that we approve resolution number 2019-108.
It's been moved.
I have a question.
Question, Mr. Heberly.
Dr. Washer, this is for 5 years, is that correct? Is there a way we can make it for 2 years or 3 years and revisit it? How does this work?
I do not believe so. I believe that
So it's
that
5
law
years
has
or-
not, I don't believe that is part of the change in law. I could be mistaken. I don't know, Mr.
Those laws are not in effect till July.
Excuse me?
The new laws for renewal don't go into effect until July 2020.
So this falls under the current law?
Yes.
If we waited till January where the new laws apply?
Yes. But we would be outside of our timeline and it would automatically renew.
So we're better off with the conditions, doing it with
Mr.
conditions.
Palmquist here? Mr. Palmquist, did you look at this petition, this resolution?
Thank you, President Nall,
Yes.
members of the board. I did. We did a staff review. Some of the things you're noting under conditional improvement were things that came through staff review.
What are the conditions?
Special ed, the language needs to be cleaned up. It's unclear who's doing what, who's paying for what. So we need to clarify that and make sure that everything is established with the SELPA. There's also some dispute resolution language that we would like changed to put Lodi Unified in a better place if there is a dispute. There are new laws coming into play and we want assurances that things will be adhered to in terms of new laws. I believe those were the main ones.
So if they were being asked to approve this with that resolution, those conditions.
If we do nothing though, the application is
Automatically approved.
without the conditions.
Without the
Correct.
conditions.
Correct.
That's not where I was going, even though that is good information.
Right.
So what happens if the, like you said, the financial division of who pays for what? Let's say, I mean, is that still, even though it's approved, we're up for negotiations and we can?
No, it's clear there is an MOU developed between both legal counsel groups, so it is clearly outlined.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. I don't have a second.
I'll second it.
Been moved and second. Mr. Freitas moved, Mr. Konexak second on resolution 2019-108, Rio Valley Charter to approve. Student vote?
Conditional approval.
Conditional improvement, excuse me, conditional improvement, correct. Student vote?
Yes.
Board vote?
Comments from the public?
Yeah, I'm sorry, comments from the audience? Anybody, any comments from the audience? No comments? Board vote then.
Do you have a comment?
Well, okay,
Could you tell us on the conditional improvement, is there a timeline as to when that would be reviewed, that they're meeting those conditions? Is it 6 months, a year?
I do not have that in front of me, but
There is a shorter time if they don't meet it. Does it come back to the board to review?
I do not believe that we are bringing it back to the board unless they don't
they don't,
So
meet
is there,
those requirements.
so is there a time when, by which they have to meet those requirements?
I do not have that in front of me.
I wanted to hear. Thank you.
thank you, Michelle. Another comment?
Hi, my name is
Galen O'Brien. I'm a parent of a student at Rio Valley, a fourth grader and a first grader. And the reason why we went to Rio Valley was because the public schools had kind of failed my daughter. In the kindergarten class that we went to, the principal and the teacher had said, we would work with you, we would work with you. I volunteered 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week in the classroom, and every day had to go and deal with stuff. And it finally just came down to, what am I doing here? And looking for alternatives, Rio Valley actually has been a godsend for my daughter's education. She is under the special education umbrella. Her IEP was not met in the public school that we were going to. They failed us there. They evaluated and they just chose not to look at things and did not follow the IEP that followed us. We went to the emerging preschool, the only one that we have in Lodi, and worked really hard since she was 2 years old with evaluations and expert PT, OT, speech therapists, and all that stuff. If you met her today, you would be like, wow, no, that must have all worked, all the early intervention. And I agree with you that, if Robles was the over school for high schoolers, but you caught my daughter when she was 2. We worked really hard in the preschool, and now Rio Valley and what they have provided for us and myself in guidance and the ability to be flexible and the ability to do these different things. And she's thriving and she's testing average, which is like a miracle. And, I can only see potential for her. And I think that catching them at high school and having someplace for them to go and try to turn around, that's great. But my daughter was caught early in elementary because we're able to find an alternative education style where a lot of things could be more controlled and more customized to her needs and what will make her thrive and become a productive citizen in the future. So I just want, in this whole spectrum of things, that there are a lot of things and there are a lot of choices that us parents can make. But right now, with Rio Valley and with the local, and I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know how many high school students we have versus elementary students and middle school kids, but I do know from experience and from the group that I've surrounded myself with that all go to Rio Valley, that it's been working for us and it's been thriving our kids. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Thank you. We have a motion voting, staff vote.
I just want to
Have another comment?
Sorry. I'm Teresa Myers. I also am a teacher at Rio Valley Charter School. I started teaching in Seattle and came down and taught, and I've been teaching for over 30 years. Don't do your calculation. So I was when I came down to California, I was at St. Anne's, and then also I started at in Lodi Unified, and I had one of my children had difficulties, and I pulled him out, and I started homeschooling him. And I came just to Rio Valley just a couple of years ago from Stanislaus County and another homeschooling. And I've been a teacher in homeschooling for over 20 years. And I have to say I'm part of the problem because a lot of my students came with me when I transferred over to Rio Valley. And because Rio Valley, I feel, is doing in the homeschooling area, doing things for students in San Joaquin County better than other homeschooling schools. I think that's why people are coming to our school. And I want to thank you for Lodi Unified for supporting us. But I think there's real value. I have a lot of students from Manteca and South Stockton, and they just follow good teachers, and you're bringing good teachers into Rio Valley. So where there's good teachers, there's good schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marr.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to approach you today. My name is Demetrius Howard, and I wasn't going to say anything, but sometimes when something is moving inside of you, you just have to say it. And so I also came from another charter, this is my first year at Rio Valley. I was at another charter school in Stanislaus County for the past 16 years. I've had 5 children that have gone through the homeschooling program. My oldest daughter graduated from UOP 2 years ago with the Merit Scholarship. My second daughter, who also homeschooled through another charter school, went to college in Southern California. She came back home. She's doing well. And my second daughter and my first children are the reason why we chose to homeschool. My second daughter had several issues that were being ignored, and me being an educator myself, I knew that there were issues with her. And so because of her, we decided to take an independent study approach because we knew that she needed one-on-one help with her processing difficulties. That child today is thriving. She is an amazing student. She's an amazing human being, and if it was not for the independent study program, I don't know what would have happened. My oldest daughter, the same thing. We decided she needed a challenge. And so because she needed a challenge, we were able to tailor her education to what she needed as well. And I have 3 children that are remaining. 2 are with Rio Valley. 1 is with Venture Academy because she wanted to play sports, but at the same time still be able to have an independent study approach. And the reason why we chose to come to Rio Valley is because we were going to Modesto 4 days a week, and it was just too much on the family. And so when we knew that Rio Valley was an option to continue and that they were thriving and that the teachers, I will say that this is the first year that I have not had any complaints about any of my students, science teachers, math teachers. Well, I'm their language arts teacher, but their language arts teacher, because Rio Valley, my son is able to take a college course through Rio Valley, and they come to the Learning Center. Delta College comes to our Learning Center, and he is able to take that college course because he needs to be accelerated. And independent study, it's about having an alternative for the students. And if we are here about the students, it's all about the students. It's not about any other agenda, but what's going to be the best thing for our students. And these students, there are options that are with Rio Valley that's for them, that's allowing them to thrive. And so I'm not saying that a public school isn't the best situation. I'm not saying that a private school is the best situation. Each child has something different that they need. And I've seen it with all 5 of my children. And had it not been for a model like Rio Valley Charter School, my children are amazing. They love the Lord, they strive for excellence in everything that they do. And if it was not for an alternative situation like Rio Valley, I just, I don't know what would have happened for my children. I can't speak for any other children in the district, but I know for my children and the children that I see at Rio Valley, these children are thriving. And so I want you to consider that. Look at what's best for the kids, not for anything else, but what is best for them and what's going to help these kids to thrive and to continue to thrive. And so I thank you for your opportunity to listen to me. But I really hope that you can see it's not about taking any children away from anyone in Lodi, but it's about providing an alternative for all of our kids. And if this is what that child needs, then this is what we need to do to provide that service for them.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Any comments from our students? Student representatives? No comments? Okay, we have that voting to do.
One more question.
One more question for Mr. Neal.
When was the first time that this was brought before the board for this renewal?
2010.
Not for this renewal right now.
I don't know what you mean. This is the first meeting.
This is the first meeting, and so.
Well, there was a public hearing.
Public hearing.
Yes.
Okay. And when was that?
November, I don't remember the date.
5th or 19th?
I want to say 19th.
Okay, we have a vote. That's why probably not voting. Or not.
What's that? Oh, I thought I clicked it. My apologies. You have to push the mouse a little harder apparently.
Gotta feed that mouse, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, the charter passes 5-2.
Mr. President and members of the board, I just want to make a comment based on the time that it's getting to be. We do have our students who have not done the report yet, and we have all of our Title I principals for the school plans here.
Thank you, Dr. Washer. That's our next move, is have our students
Sorry, Mr.
comments. Trinity from Ronald McNair, could you proceed, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I am Trinity Escarpizo, AD President of McNair High School, and I'd like to share a report. For school activities and programs, Health Occupations held their December blood drive on December 6th, and we also tried out our response to intervention schedule, which was tested out on November 18th through the 22nd. With their RTI schedule, each class period was shortened, and one specific period was lengthened depending on the day of the week. It gave students who could not stay after school tutoring help during the school day. It also allowed students to participate in open sessions, some including help with college applications and FAFSA by the counselors, advertising techniques, open discussions about presidential elections. Our choir class did a sing-along Broadway and Disney songs. We had an interview skills, help on the junior research project, survival phrases in Spanish, and gardening and the best plants for the region. And currently, Link Crew is holding a toy drive from December 11th to the 18th. Student government recently held our Snowball Week on December 9th through 13th, in which we had spirit days based on holiday movies, including Home Alone, Frozen, Happy Feet, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. We had our pep rally on December 12th, and that was based on How the Grinch Stole Christmas. We had our dance based on the Pole Express on December 14th in the H-Tram. And throughout the week, each class competed to have the best decorated hallways. The juniors took first place, the seniors took second, sophomores third, and freshmen fourth. For performances, we had a band and orchestra concert on December 11th, and we had a choir concert on December 12th. For student recognitions, our senior Monica Garcia has committed with Jessup Stunt, being the first stunt athlete from McNair to be playing for college. And for upcoming activities, Link Crew will be hosting their Cocoa Crown on December 18th, which is a study session for freshmen to be tutored by their junior and senior peers while enjoying hot chocolate. And our unified sports team will be starting their basketball season when school starts up again in January.
Thank you very much, Trinity, for your report. Dylan?
Thank you, Dr. Nava, and Dr. Washer, President of the Board. I meant Mr. Nava, I'm sorry about that.
Fine.
Mixed up. To start, for our school activities and programs, this will be our last week of our semester. Our finals are starting tomorrow and will be ending on Friday. As well as our AP team held a very successful trivia game night on November 15th. All the money that was raised to that was helped to reduce the cost of AP tests for students, and they raised around $1,200. Our Link Crew and the Wayne Teen Center hosted a red and white Christmas party last Friday. It was well attended. At the event were games, prizes, and a live band. And tomorrow, our Link Crew leaders are hosting a Polar Express movie night right after school in the theater for all freshmen. And for student government members, we're all ringing the bell for the Salvation Army at this past Saturday at Walgreens. And once again, we had a lot of fun on our Spirited Light Parade float. Our performances, presentations, and events. Our drama department just ended the performance of Peter and Wendy. The production was very entertaining and successful with multiple sellouts. And Lodi Cheer has an upcoming clinic for anyone from ages 8 to 18 years of age. And special staff and recognitions. Yesterday we had a very special photo taken with all of our students and staff wearing the Be Awesome t-shirts in honor of Dave Nutting, who passed away recently. Vinnie Montgomery, a junior, started the design and the selling of these T-shirts for a fundraiser and has raised over $1,500 in the process.
Very good. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you very much. Yes. You students are excused. I know you have some homework or, and finals? Finals, whoa, okay. You're excused if you'd like to go or you want to stay? Okay, let's continue on with the agenda. Item A12, first interim financial report. Mr. Khan.
Mr. President, would it be okay to do the school plans?
A school plan. Okay, let's go
Board is
to.
okay.
That's fine with the, that's very. Okay, Ms. Kotowski.
President Nava, congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
On your new
Thank you.
position.
Thank you very
Board
much.
members and Dr. Washer, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Rafael Seja. He is our replacement in the Educational Support Services Division. He is the one that has been working with all our schools on the school plans. We present them to you tonight for your first review. We'll bring them back in January. So we're here for questions or comments.
Very good.
No? No comments?
What I have is I apologize to our principals that are still here, that you are still here. Unlike you, I can sleep in the morning, you gotta get up and go to work, so I apologize for that.
Speak for yourself. Any questions for Ms. Kotowski? I know we've read the report that was on there, so if you have any questions on that, she's coming back in January to finalize it, so by that time, we should be very versed on that report. No comments? Audience, any comments? Goodbye, Joe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Now, Mr.
that was.
Wait,
Mr.
can
Khan.
we? I think I should go before Mr.
Right.
Thank you for staying.
Yeah.
We should only do about 30 minutes.
All right, Mr. Khan, quick.
There's at least 2 hours of material.
Everything is counterproductive once we go after 9:30, sir, so let's roll.
Thank you, President Nava, members of the board, Dr. Washer. I'd like to welcome our Director of Budgets, Adina Hendricks, up to the microphone as well. I won't go through the slideshow. Everybody's ready. If there are any questions, we'll certainly answer it. I'll just quickly review the executive summary. Quickly, we're projecting a decline in ending fund balance, roughly $2.8 million. This is not unusual for your financial statement at this point of year. It's actually slightly better than 2 years ago and slightly worse than last year. At this point, my gut feel is we will avoid unaudited actuals deficit for this year, but you can start to see the balance sheet tightening with this decline in enrollment year over year, CBEDS 2018 to 2019. We're showing an actual operating deficit on this financial statement of $7 million plus, even though we don't expect with this math to exceed a negative 2.8. And again, my gut feel is we ought to be able to avoid actual deficit at the close of books at the end of this year. The big story, of course, is the decline in enrollment. So I won't read through the whole thing. If there are any questions about the...
Any questions?
Real quick. Yeah, decline enrollment is a tough one, but the other part of that too is that we're declining in the identification of those students, the targeted students that help us get the supplemental and the concentration grants. Now, the combination of a supplemental and concentration concentration grant is about $6,000, which that's a sizable bit of money. We declined this year, according to the dashboard, I can't remember the exact percentage, I think it's 2%.
2 to 3.
Yeah, 2.4%, I think that's what it was. Which means that because of that decline, we lost about $4.1 million in revenue, or we will lose about $4.1 million in revenue, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Another way to look at this is about every 1% is about 1.6 million.
Well, I don't want to put up, you're the guy who knows, so you're close enough. But the problem is 3 years ago, I started talking about how I wish the superintendent was here right now so she could hear this. We need to really focus on identifying those students that meet the number that we need to get that free and reduced. They help us. Now, I know that there's talk about, well, some people don't want to admit, we need to educate them. We need to tell them that we need this. Now, you've got another thing coming up here for board policy change on free and reduced lunch, right? Now, we have until November 15th to identify those students. And for everyone that we can identify, we get $6,000 in increased revenue because we're over that 55% threshold already, right?
Right, roughly 14%.
Right. So what we need to do is we need to better identify those students that will help us get more money. I mean, if we could, if we didn't drop that $4 million, if we took some of that, spent that money on community liaison officers and put them in charge of going out there and identifying those students until the paperwork's turned in November, then they can go ahead and do normal community liaison officers' jobs. So it's not just declining enrollment, it's also a declining identification of students for free and reduced education.
Right. How much do we lose because of absenteeism?
About 5% is our,
When you say 5%, how much is that in real dollars?
The actual calculated ADA in this report is 94.23%.
So how much do we lose in actual dollars for absenteeism?
Every 1% is
$1.7 million. So we're losing how much for absenteeism again? Please just help me out, I'm tired.
$9 million.
We're losing $9 million.
That's up to 100%.
And is PBS a part of helping us improve chronic absenteeism?
PBIS.
Is it?
Yes.
And according to that dashboard I read, we are failing in that absenteeism?
Chronic absence, yes.
Yeah, where we're not improving, we're going the other way.
One of our areas of challenge, yes.
Right.
So if we, as Mr. Neely said, target one area, the one area that's the easiest to rectify, well, both areas are easy to rectify, would be getting more kids in class. Is that correct?
Mr. Porter, they're not easy. They're not easy areas. They're pretty difficult.
Well, I think I've been researching this quite heavily. I've been gone to schools, looked at schools that have similar backgrounds to us, and they're doing a lot of things to get kids in class. Competition between schools of life, administrators giving out school bucks so they can purchase items at the store, things like that, getting them into school. They're not going to learn. You're not going to learn anything unless you're in class.
Right.
So if you really want to do well, we need to get them in class, plus that helps with money. So that's just my one concern. I know Mr. Khan has no control over that. He's just giving us numbers. But if we want to help with money, we need to work on absenteeism.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir, Mr. Fraser.
I too went to CSBA, and one of the classes I went to on spoke about these very issues about declining enrollment and how to market your district. One of the problems I think we face, though, is that we have to set our district based upon our enrollment, not upon our attendance. And if we receive state funds and federal funds based upon enrollment, and non-attendance, that would be a much better law, but of course, that is a law that hasn't been passed yet, and here we are. The other thing is attendance. Every 100 students that we can attract to our district is $1 million.
Correct.
And it's that simple. And we can attract those students by competing with the Rio Valleys and bringing those students back to Lodi High, providing options. So if I were to understand this report correctly, Mr. Khan, were we to have last year's enrollment not be down to 400 students, we would actually have a positive. Is that correct?
Correct.
So this is how important this enrollment is, and how important it is for us to, if we can't lick them, let's join them and let's beat them at their own game and provide the opportunities. Because students are going to Rio Valley for options. Now, some of those options we can't compete with, be it disciplinary or social or emotional challenges that do not fit in. But if a lot of these independent studies are looking for challenges for continuation units, we need to be able to compete with that and provide this as an option, especially in today's market. So thank you for your report. With that, I would move to approve.
Been moved by Mr. Freitas, second by Ms. McFarland, to approve the first interim financial report. Board vote.
Yeah, it is.
Wake you up.
Mr. Beverly can go to-
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Khan, you're still available there for proposed board policy revisions.
Thank you, President Nava, members of the board. I apologize. We know the board would like the report in one meeting with the follow-up action. Mr. Neely already introduced this item. This relates to the change in the law on October 12 related to SB 265 that restricts severely the board's ability to recoup unpaid paid lunch bills. The reason this moved up really quickly is our nutrition services director plays a role on many collaborative groups relating to nutrition in the state of California's K-12 space, and a lot of districts are starting to put out flyers and other information related to SB 265. We would like to do the same, but that flyer that we presented, which I think was provided through a Friday Hot Topic, is in contradiction to some of the points in current board policy. So this change just brings it up to current law, current ed code, and allows us to begin distributing the flyers.
Any questions from the board?
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Freitas.
I move we approve item OIA3, proposed board policy revision.
Second.
Let me ask the audience, any comments from the audience? Sorry about that. Okay.
So I break the permitting board coming up. We would just ask again that board policy is brought up for public viewing for a lengthier time as a report item and then an action item, so that there is quite a bit of change of language, and this does affect our students and our teachers. The administrators that left, I know, play an integral part in following up with a lot of those food services and not being able to digest all of that and approve it right away. We'd like, again, to have more time to look at it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we have a board on the floor. Mr. Freitas' motion that we approve proposed board policies, second by Mr. Porter. Board vote. Motion carries 7-0. We already covered Measure U Oversight Committee report and the Measure U Oversight report. Now we have Measure U Citizens Oversight Committee appointment. Mr. Khan.
Thank you, President Nava, members of the board, Dr. Washer. This is actually Measure L,
I'm sorry, Major Al is correct.
I'd like to, so the board's aware we've had difficulty maintaining membership on our measure committees. I'd like to thank Ms. Doris Cunningham for volunteering to serve. She will be filling a spot as an active in a business organization, community member, and I recommend
Mr. President, move to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Neely, second by Mr. Knapsack to approve the Measure Citizen Oversight Committee appointment. All in favor, excuse me, let's board vote. We got this machine, so we gotta use it. Motion carried 7-0. Okay, Currell Citizen, there's an appointment, Mr. Khan.
Thank you,
Another
President
one.
Nava, members of the board, Dr. Washer. I'd also, in a similar vein, like to thank Mr. Roger Maribel, who has volunteered to serve on the Measure L committee as well as active in a senior citizen organization. Also is an active parent in the school.
His bio seems to be much briefer.
Yeah, it's not briefer.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Knapsack, second by Ms. McFarland to approve this appointment. All, board vote. After 9:30, it gets a little shaky, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, thank you, Mr. Khan. All right, personnel matters.
Move to approve.
Okay, moved, Mr. Neely moved, Mr. Heberty second, we approve personnel matters.
Mr. President, I would like to comment that we're losing some board favorites on that.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Hurley, turned his retirement, Martha Snyder.
Yes.
These are great fans of the board who have been taking every opportunity to point out good and bad of our district, and they're sorely going to be missed along with all the other retirements.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas, for your comments. Board vote. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, we got comments from employee group representatives. Being none?
I didn't have anything. I just want to wish you all a safe and joyous holiday
you,
season,
Deborah.
and
Same
we'll
to
see
you.
you in the new year.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks.
She brings up.
Good evening again. Thank you, board, for the recognition of Mr. Dave Nutting. And I would like to recognize some people who really supported the process of healing for the students and staff. The administrators, Adam Auerbach, Sarah B. Singer, at the district here, Jonathan Martin, Paul Warren, on call, on the weekends, making sure that there were things in place for both students and staff, and they went above and beyond, and I really appreciate that in such a difficult, challenging situation. And you could tell he touched many lives, so helping that healing process moving forward is important. Tonight we looked at single site plans. I would say that, you know, in this new format, we still ask that there be transparency. We are hearing from members that there is not. That all stakeholders fiscally want better and clear communication to all staff, knowing what each of the dollars are being spent on. Not just the Title I schools that have an oversight body such as School Site Council, and not that information being limited to just the School Site Council seeing those numbers, and not just the Title I dollars, but all dollars, so they have a clearer picture of what can be spent. And if their focus is, say, intervention or decreasing absenteeism, if they can come up with a plan that would work best for their school site, really having a good sense of those dollars and everything that's being spent would make it much better for everyone to communicate and work towards that target. As you know and have heard and discussed tonight, we've started the site shuffle, grade level shuffle on sites. We would ask it appears that there are more combos at this time. We know in looking at numbers overall that we were down in combos, but teachers are reporting that there are more combos per site. That does lead, as Mr. Heberly pointed out, to teachers looking preliminary at changing school sites. Maybe they've been there for a long time and it's going to a combo, so changing school sites, changing districts, we've heard that. It also doesn't match up to our IDA timeline, so with us moving the site shuffle up, maybe those IDA timelines moving that up ahead of time so the numbers are more firm if we keep with a December movement. We also would ask again that on our personnel report we had resignations from teachers, that we do exit interviews. Why are they leaving? I think as somebody recognized our retirees, who some have been in our district over 30 years. They've seen a lot of change and they've outlasted some of us. You know, I'm sure that upon their exit, they could shed some light on maybe changes to decrease absenteeism or intervention programs. So I think we really need to harness that talent and gather that information before they leave. I do want to recognize, she's probably gone now, Rochelle Ness, Lisa Katowski, Mr. Seha, working together on the migrant ed issue that we had out at Live Oak. What they came up with, contacting all the parents, working through the county migrant ed, really trying to find something that worked for everyone, having them work as a liaison. The team really pulled something together at the 11th hour that benefited our students and families and have heard some good things. You know, with this ongoing enrolling attendance, we'll see how it turns out in the end. But we really are thankful for that progress in that time. We also would look forward to the follow-up since there was an emergency on the school site. The independence principal wasn't there to communicate all of the nuts and bolts, but we'd like to see a follow-up on that piece. With respect tonight and talking about the board's calendar, we would respectfully ask that on all agenda items that it's opened up to the public for comments. As all stakeholders and those meeting dates are important, and it is a little bit frustrating when we have some ideas and it's come and gone. We do think that the meetings that take place in Stockton, unless you can make sure that everyone who wants to tune in online, that it's same for same, that we don't have them there unless we can have that set up. There are lots of members who are at home watching due to childcare, due to being enrolled in classes, lesson planning where they can do their lesson plans, correct papers, and still be abreast as to what's going on in the district. So when you deny that opportunity to tune in on important work that you do, we'd ask, don't hold it in Stockton unless you can make sure that this live streaming can be a public record and people to tune in. We also want to thank Mr. Seha and Lisa Katowski with regards to the LEA's LCAP meeting. We look forward to more information about the LCAP. It was, several hours. With regards to the calendar, we'd like to see a study session done on the LCAP or the roundtable like we did last year, sooner in the year, later than at the last 11th hour. We'd also like to see a study session on ARBET. So with those two things, maybe somewhere in the calendar that can be changed going forward. The other is, I don't know if you've driven around the outskirts of Lodi, the perimeter, we've got housing everywhere going up. And the projections, the issues that are happening out at Live Oak, I think we really need to be proactive. Where are those students going to go? And with all of our sites, I hate to see us lean towards a year-round school. So maybe if we can look at what are we going to do with all of those homes. Last thing I'd like to bring up is the REMS and safety and communication. We are concerned. We want real conversations about safety training. We don't want to just look at a flip chart. We don't want to be told to go look on a board and hope that it's there. We do believe that there have been some hard questions asked about, is every room ready? But we do want to have hard conversations. We heard very clear last night from our representatives, every school site does not feel they are completely trained for what they need to be trained in safety. So if they're saying that as reps publicly, and they're calling out and saying, principal, train us, let's go through the REMS binder. I'm on the REMS committee and the binder is outdated. We need to look hard and fast so that we make sure that everyone knows what to do and is not thinking about reading about it later. And so as we move forward, please, I know that you have formed a safety board committee meeting. We have a safety district committee meeting. Let's look at what every site can bring to you, what needs to be done in a very timely manner, because things are happening on a daily basis, from water main breaks to students on campus, or people, I should say, not students, people on campus, and how we communicate that, especially with the change in our technology. We know that the Jive system has made what our plans are a bit different. So let's be proactive and have hard conversations about safety. So on that note, please have a safe Christmas and happy holiday. We will be, I will see you at the crab feed in January, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. All right. Dr. Washer, you have anything else?
I want to say kudos to Lodi High School for their production of Peter Pan and Wendy. It was spectacular. Also, one thing that I learned at a CSBA session, which would solve a comment that was just made by the president of LEA about public comments on agenda items, is many school districts, boards, have all of their public comments at the front of the meeting, non-agenda and agenda items, all in that section under public comments, rather than stopping after each item for public comments. That way, you know that you've done it, and people aren't waiting until 10 o'clock for their item to show up. They can make their comment ahead of time. Just something to think about.
Good point, good point. All right, let's proceed with the report update on bond measure U projects. Dr. Collins.
Very quickly, we didn't put any attachments on here, but Michael, if you click on this, and you don't even need to do this, you can just go to the district homepage, click on bonds and projects, 3 columns, district projects, measure U, measure L. This report is coming directly from there. So this is the financial report we present periodically. We do, the board approved a consent item today about bond reporting. We did find out we're going to have, with new laws, we're going to have to report some different things. So we'll also provide those to the board as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions about our questions.
Nice report.
I have a question. That link right there, whether it works or not, does it depend on?
Mike, we go to the homepage.
No, I just want to know, does the age of your computer have anything to do with that not working?
It shouldn't. It's just this is
That's
taking you
okay.
to the
So
same webpage.
that didn't work on mine, so I went to the, what you're talking about, and we're fine after that. So, we're good. I'm good.
I understand we can't put a link directly into a ESB, so it's got to go in a Word doc. That might have something to do with it.
Motion to approve.
Any comments? All right, let's go with staff. Staff will provide project updates for Houston School, Joe Serna Junior Charter School. Mr. Khan.
We still own the water tank. The pad is set. We're waiting for delivery. We have no other projects scheduled under the move or the relocation for the school site. The school's Measure U projects have been or are in the process of being submitted to DSA as we speak.
Any questions? All right, let's go with the CSBA Delegate Assembly report. Mr. Neely.
I'll try to be quick about this,
Thank
but
you,
the one
sir.
thing that we need to do is you need to understand.
We skipped one.
Skip two of these.
I
But-
was going to take advantage of that.
We skipped the California School Dashboard overview.
I
If you
thought
would-
we went through that already.
We did not, but if you would like to do that in January, because
Let's
this
do that,
committee
yeah.
asked for more information, we can do it all in January.
Can you hold all that information for us, Lisa?
We certainly
Oh,
can.
awesome, we'll do that.
What if we have a meeting next Tuesday on Christmas Eve?
You might be by yourself, I'm sorry.
All right, the following Tuesday, New Year's Eve.
All right, Mr. Neely.
I'll still try to be as quick.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Porter has a question about it.
No.
Well, I don't have any questions. I'm just going to say it for Mr. Townsend. Oh, thank you.
All right, real quick, full and fair funding update. CSBA decided not to place the full and fair funding amendment on the ballot in 2020. The reason they decided not to do it was because it would be competing with a resolution by CTA for a funding increase. Data has shown that both of those went up on the ballot at the same time, they would both lose. CTA has more money to support theirs, but they've also been going up against a very strong opponent, the commercial real estate industry, who has promised to put $100 million against the CTA resolution. So we're backing off and going to wait until 2022 or 2024. I was not happy about that, and I let it be known there at the meeting, but it is what it is. We heard. Yeah, well, the next thing I want to talk about.
He said, oh darn.
Yeah, I did, several times. What they brought up, CSBA brought up what they wanted us to know about some of the things that they have done, because I was accusing them of all kinds of things. There were 3 lawsuits that CSBA had brought against the state government, and that and the pressure to have the governor put money into the CalSTRS retirement fund ended up netting us about $134 per student. So that was a good deal. They did great on that. Climate change is an issue. The question is, now I want you guys to think about it and tell me next meeting. Do you think that the state should mandate climate change training for our kids, and also should they mandate us to participate in
No.
all right. That's what I thought. I kind of thought that. Also, online learning for board members is now a reality. It starts in January. $300 subscription fee for online board training. And finally, CSBA has been monitoring the unfunded mandates. We have 15 new bills that passed legislation without funding attached to it,
Say it isn't so.
costing another $1.1 billion.
Billion with B.
Billion, with a B, that school districts have to pay that we do not get reimbursed for. I'll get you a list of those for the next meeting. That's all I got.
And a list of.
Thank you, Mr. Neely. Very good. We have any board advisory committee reports?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Your Honor. Oh, my God. I became a judge now. I'm the
We
judge.
had the first meeting of the safety subcommittee. My 2 co-chairs, and I are very excited to review safety issues in the district. So if you have suggestions, we will be coming to you if you don't, and be asking for everyone's input. Also, the next item, future board agenda, I would like to have a report as to the Tokay High soft lockdown and the issues surrounding what happened in that event. And with that, I would move to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Freitas. Been moved and second by Mr. Neely to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.
Real quick with that soft lockdown, I would also like to hear not only from administrators, but the team that was there and teachers that actually
Absolutely.
experienced what hurt and what was happening. And, yeah.
Full report from all parties involved. All stakeholders. Happy holidays. Merry
Happy
Christmas,
holidays.
everyone. See you next year.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas, sir. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Ho, ho, ho.
I'm gonna go home and have a glass of wine.